Hey everybody, my name is Bert Jennings, and this is Honesty Hour. I'm gonna keep doing this motion until I have a partner, which hopefully
hey,
will. But,
hey, how's it going?
Let's go.
Hey, what's up? hey, how you doing? You're in my house. You start laughing, and Kaiju's like, "What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck?"
I know. I missed you. Hey, hey, you smell my puppy.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Honesty Hour. We're here to talk. That's all we're here to do. We're here to talk, and I brought Bert along, Mr. Bert Jennings. We're gonna get to know Bert. We're gonna ask him hard questions, and we're gonna find out at what age he lost his virginity.
Woo!
Because that's what we do here on Honesty. People have been complaining, they're like, "Dude, you guys don't go hard enough on Honesty Hour anymore." I'm like, well, when it comes to me, you guys fucking know everything. I've spent almost
cool. Well, this has been
I've
good.
spent almost 2 years doing this. They know fucking everything.
Yeah.
They know the deepest, darkest secrets of my life. They don't know shit about you.
It's true. It's true.
They don't know shit about you.
The least known, I guess. I don't know.
Least, yeah, you're kind of a mystery to everybody because you usually just show up as the butt of a joke.
It's true.
Put on a wig.
Definitely happens quite often.
Put on a wig, stand over there, laugh.
Yep.
Just do your thing.
I'm a sound clip. I get it.
Do your thing, Bert. Just do your thing. Laugh. All that good stuff. And that's about it. But we'll get to know you tonight because I think it's important that we get to know you. Because you're now the GM of Pencils and Parsecs.
Yes, it's true. I am. Definitely, we can talk about that as much as you want. I love that show, but I also know that it is quite a task.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm up for the challenge, but we're learning.
You're gonna have to be, or I'll fire you, Bert.
That's what I'm. Yeah. That's what I was implying.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great. You know, I was telling Bert that I see a lot of the same growing pains that I saw in myself when I was starting Vanquish, and I'm sure some of you guys can relate to that too. This is your first time ever GMing on camera.
Yeah, it's totally different.
It's very different.
Yeah.
It's so different that when people come online and start saying stuff like in forum places and other places like, oh, blah, 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 GM, you know, the way I GM, I'm like, until you have a fucking camera and 1,000 people watching you, shut the fuck up. You have no idea. It's totally different. It's so different because you're not just telling a story to the people in the room. Yeah. You're telling a story to the audience, and the way you would tell a story to people in a room is very different.
It's completely different.
You have so much more time to focus in on their needs.
Yeah.
Oh, does somebody need to take a break a little bit and dive into this thing that helps them further figure out what they need to do while another person goes and gets some pretzels and uses the restroom?
Yeah.
Great, fine.
Yeah. You can set the tempo is different.
Yes.
And I think that's the thing is because I've GM'd specifically Star Wars for longer than I care to probably think about. But I started off on the Wizards of the Coast version, and then like went to Saga, and then doing the Edge of the Empire, and it's completely different because you have to be spinning so many plates, specifically with Pencils and Parsecs, because it's like there's so many cool elements that we've been kind of discussing and kind of getting online, and it's like there's so much to deal with in the moment that normally as a GM I was like, I don't have to worry about it like a meter and all that different stuff.
What I try to tell people when they start GMing for us is like, you're not a GM anymore, you're a director. You're a live director.
Yeah.
And in some ways, your job becomes more being an orchestrator of moments for the people on camera and knowing how to manipulate the best out of them. You are their talent director, and you are putting them in a position to give them the most to work with while simultaneously keeping them invested in what's happening, keeping them on the edge of their seat, while also knowing if I give them this thing, they're going to react that way, and that's what the audience wants, and that's whether those people in the chairs know it or not. So it's just a totally different mindset.
Thankfully, I have a great set of actors, as it were, to go with.
You do, and I think that's why it's extra challenging for you.
Yeah.
I think it's extra challenging because they are so talented at what they do that they're going to challenge you. And I think we're already seeing that in Darren. So he's gonna walk all over you because he's more talented than you.
Yeah, no.
But that's not meant in a way.
I literally ended episode 2 with just a look of like, okay, well, I got my work cut out for me on this.
Yeah,
but it was a great moment. It was a great moment. That's the one thing is every time, I write something and it's been a work in progress because the first episode, we had plenty of time to kind of prep for it.
Yeah.
And you never know what to expect when it comes to like role playing, everything you just said, right? And so I wrote out more than I probably should have, like almost kind of mad scientist level of like, cool, they're gonna spend like 30 minutes in this casino, and I had like character names for like Ahmad Kalmarian playing a game of chance with the Quarian. It was just gonna be all this different stuff. And I was like, and then, because it's also from a video game development, it's like, okay, then I have this trigger moment. This is the thing that triggers the action. And I'm like, it'll be cool because we'll go X amount of time here, we'll get to know all the characters, and then this will happen. And right off the bat, they're like, we're gonna follow that guy out the door. And I'm like, fudge!
Yeah, I made that mistake too when I first started. Because the other thing is you have more time when you're playing at home to direct those moments.
Correct.
And to set those things up. And you have to be working at such a brisk pace that when someone does shift things in such a way, you can't work for the next hour and a half to get them back where you want.
Yeah.
Which you can do when you're playing at home. You can be like, okay, not a big deal. I'm just going to divert them here. You got to yes and it and keep moving forward and keep moving forward. And I know Darren's going to challenge you, but I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
So. And I
because I want to be able to as challenge.
Hey!
Money.
CZ7OB shoots Zach in the head with a blaster. Now what, Bert?
I guarantee you that was not actually Darren, but I don't imagine Darren up at 10 p.m. or with the phone open on Streamlabs going tip. But thank you. Thank you for that contribution. But I think I'm excited to see how he continues challenging you.
Yeah.
I think the person that what I foresee like 4 or 5 months from now is Kim's gonna be the one that challenges you.
Yeah.
I feel like knowing what she's got in here, and when she gets to that point where that's just flowing out naturally, she's gonna be that next kind of like, oh, I'm gonna test you on that.
So on that note, so the other thing to take into consideration is like it's not like another show maybe where we've been playing for a long period of time. Like that very first episode was the first time that all 4 of us were able to sit down in a room and get together. So you're literally seeing kind of the growing pains as it's happening. But I did a practice session with Kim and Emma at my house. We're just kind of going over the mechanics and stuff. And I think Kim, and again, she's playing a different player at the time, but Kim will have exactly those moments of surprising people because it's like, I'm like, okay, you're doing this thing. She's like, all right, cool. I want to knock that guy out and stuff him in a locker. And I was just like, I didn't see that anywhere. And it's just like you have all these moments. She's like, it's just she will, and part of it is her character. But as she grows, both with the comfortability, because she had never done a role-playing game or any sort of Twitch stuff. So.
This is her first time being... Now, she's been a performer for a long time, and I think you can tell by the way she carries herself on camera
absolutely.
that you can tell immediately that she's a performer, but it's her first time on camera doing this kind of thing in a live setting, and it takes time to adapt to.
Yeah.
It takes time to adapt to. For everybody. I mean, I think that's part of the excitement for these things for me. It's hard for me because the CEO wants it to fucking be perfect the first episode.
Yeah. Me too. Well, no.
I want it to be perfect because I get to see all the analytics that show how many people tune in for a first episode and then don't show up for the second one.
Yep, totally.
Whenever it's not exactly as good as it should be.
Yep.
I see that stuff, so I get real nervous and I get real panicked. As a viewer and as a producer, the most exciting thing for me is to see how it grows, how the people on camera get more comfortable, where they go, where they become. Like from me starting Vanquished with the group up in Seattle to them now doing the Outcrowd, like it's been so cool to see that transition and that growth.
Totally.
So since we're already talking about pencils and parsecs,
sure, let's keep it going.
I know that they're going to have questions about it in Discord. If you guys want to ask questions, the best place to do so if you're a subscriber is to do so in the Discord. Those will be the ones we get to first because there will be so many. I'd love to talk about the system you and I discussed and stayed up late the other night. So you sent me the galaxy map.
You did. All right. I did. Yeah.
So here's how it's gonna work.
This is so cool.
We're gonna pitch it to you guys right now.
I'm so happy about this.
So I know, I know you guys give us a lot of feedback. And as you've learned probably by now, is nobody's harder on us than us.
Sure. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Your feedback is usually like, yeah. We've already argued about it. We've already talked about it. We've already obsessed over it. On all that stuff, and we're completely aware that, okay, great, we got the tech working, we got the force bar, the targeting system working, and the tech behind it is amazing.
It was flawless.
So great.
Yeah.
It's the coolest fucking thing that we're getting to do this kind of shit where it's interactive in that way.
Yeah.
But I understand that after the first hour and the timer hit 0, it didn't feel like there was a payoff.
Yeah.
And we know not just from it's funny because I sit there and I look at like donation analytics and everything else. It's like boom, the second that first hour went down,
and there was no payoff.
The donations dropped immediately.
Sure.
Because they wanted to know what was going to happen. Yeah. What was going to happen when it hit 0? And I heard you say it. I heard you flow it into the story.
Yeah.
But if you weren't paying really close attention, you wouldn't notice. So, the funny thing is, you guys saw tips coming in. What I realized at the end of the show is that the only people making tips in the second hour to keep things interesting and to try to keep the lights moving was me, Lucas, and Arislin. 3 people who are all invested in the company. So it was all us throwing our personal money to try to keep the lights still moving and make it like moving around. So it was basically Lucas up here running a camera and me in the back producing, not realizing we were tipping against each other. It was just him and I having a tip battle between each other. I was playing as like Kylo Ren in the chat room and he was playing as somebody else and we were just back and forth and it's like, shit. It's just us losing our own
and that's like totally on me, and it's like I totally know it, and it's well, I'll let you explain this and we'll go in it, but it goes back to the spinning plate idea. It's just like afterwards when we talked about it, it was such a clear thing of like, oh, duh, right? Yeah. But like in the moment, I'm sitting there.
You got a lot to do.
Yes, but it's also like I totally get it, and I'm not gonna lie, getting thrown off a little bit by kind of how the session went. And me being like, oh man, this is what I did wrong already, and all this different stuff.
Well, that's why I like the new idea, because it actually gives you time to reset your brain.
Yeah, it does.
So
I love this idea.
When it hits 0, we're gonna pause the game.
Yeah, just straight up
It's a clock. Yeah. It's a pause. This just in. Bert will be acting in that moment as your galactic kind of news anchor in a way. This just in. Because of where you made that bar end up, this tier 1 situation, why don't you give them, give them an example.
Sure, yeah, totally. So
without giving away one of the ones we're using Friday.
Oh shit, okay, hold on. I'm trying to remember which ones I chose. So it'd be like, okay, so there's different, we have a galaxy map, right?
Yeah.
And it's basically our galactic civil war conflict.
Right, so probably by tomorrow night, early Friday morning, you're going to see on our Twitter a map, okay? It's going to be a map for the show, and it's the galactic it's basically the whole map of the Star Wars galaxy, and it's a galactic
like conflict zone. So it's like, and then it's not necessarily all just like Rebel versus Imperial. It's just basically, here's a map, here's all these points of conflict, right? And you have like tier 1, tier 2, and like tier 3. So like tier 1 might be something like smugglers trying to export a large amount of spice out of Castle or something like that.
Yeah.
Or be like, oh, cool, rebels engage, a Imperial convoy in like this area, right? And then from that event, right, so you basically so when the hour ends, depending on where it ends, 2 things are gonna happen, right? First thing is, depending if it's in a tier 1, 2, or 3, that chooses the conflict.
Right. So a tier 1 conflict, maybe it's a, somebody's having a problem with something political. There's not a lot of lives at stake.
Yeah.
Maybe
it's a very small.
It's a small thing. Now a tier 3 situation. Could be a whole fucking like. There could be a giant battle that could shape the change in the war. You know, it's like it could be a giant thing, like a Federation ship, or you know, like a Rebel forces defeated an entire like it's section of the galaxy.
It's almost as if these events would be timeline-altering events, right?
Exactly.
So, are we going to be in our own little universe or timeline? Possibly, depending on how some of these events go.
Right.
Which is really cool,
you
though.
Start rewriting
it.
It's not.
It's our Star Wars universe.
So I know I said Federation. I was.
Nah, Trade Federation. I guess they could come back.
Yeah. Fuck you. But basically, so it's not canon. The idea is like, you know, imagine when you're playing Mass Effect, or we've been playing XCOM a lot, and you've got your mission things that come up. Mm-hmm. So you've got this giant map. We're going to release that map tomorrow, and there'll be 3 different Tier 1 locations, 3 different Tier 2 locations, and 3 different Tier 3 locations. Now, each one of those, depending on what you decide in the chat room on Friday night, could end up as a Tier 1 light or a Tier 1 dark. So it's going to be up to Bert, based on however random thing he wants to decide, which of the 3 Tier 1s or 3 Tier 2s or 3 Tier 3s that he picks, depending on where you land. Yeah. So if it's a Tier 3 light or a Tier 3 dark, he's going to pick one of those Tier 3 events, and he's got a resolution for light and dark side. Yeah. So it'll be kind of like, imagine at the beginning of Star Wars, the Clone Wars cartoon. Yeah. This just in, on this side of the Empire, the blah, 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 and they're updating you on all the things going on in the Galactic Civil War. Yeah. That's the idea. We're spreading out the knowledge of what's going on in this universe, where you, the chat room, are deciding how these battles go. Yeah. Now that sounds, at first, it's going to feel kind of like, okay, what is this really doing? Yeah. But say if you're Team Dark Side, and you keep pushing that shit to the dark side, in a couple months, the players are going to be up against a situation where a lot of the places they end up traveling to are now controlled by the Empire. And it's going to affect the fucking game. And you're writing a story where all of these events that are happening affect the overall...
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool because it's like, there's two effects that come out of it. One, just from the standpoint of this thing's resolved, but it gives me more to kind of paint a narrative that, you know, is unique to this kind of hyper RPG experience, right? Yeah. So I hope the idea is, you know, the players are paying attention to these events as they're happening, but it's like, okay, cool, if it goes light side, this thing, and then something from that comes back into like the loop, the fold, we all have that moment of like, oh shit, yeah, that's right, kind of thing. So it gives me kind of more in a narrative toolbox to work with, which only makes me more excited, but it also means that I gotta track all this shit and come up with all these different things. But I literally we had this conversation like on Friday night till like 2, and then I just woke up Saturday and just started writing all this stuff because I'm like, it's Star Wars, it's what I want to do.
So I know I've already seen a couple people like, oh, well, hopefully it affects things, but I hope it's not months. And it's like, well, it's not. So that's the thing. The first aspect is you're affecting the overall Galactic Civil War.
Correct.
But depending on how that outcome has immediate effects to the people on the players. So the way it will most likely work is this just in. Bert looks at the graph, sees where it is, picks his Tier 1, Tier 2, or Tier 3 event, and announces what the outcome is based on where the chat room ended up. And then they feel a shift in the Force, and they now have whatever changes their abilities. It could be a +2 to strength for all of them. If it's like a Tier 2 light,
it's a very
for the next hour they've got this buff,
tangible 1 hour
based on what's happening with the Metachlorian.
Yeah. Force, I don't know.
Whatever's happening in the Force around there. Now, different things will affect them in different ways. Obviously, a Tier 1 light or a Tier 1 dark isn't going to give them a huge boost one way for positive or negative.
Correct.
But say if it's a Tier 3 light or a Tier 3 dark, it's going to be a very...
I wouldn't say
big.
Yeah.
It will affect them in a bigger way. And it could be things that have to do with the story exactly in that moment.
Right.
Now, we were using, as we were brainstorming ideas, throwing out the example of, say, like, if it got Tier 3 light when they were in that ship last week and they were trying to get their way through, and all of a sudden, like, their ability to misdirect or something like that became like a huge buff or something like that, or every lie is read as a truth, like a Jedi mind trick. Or like you feel a shift in the Force and you have the ability now to, it creates a story element based on the outcome of something that's happening in the Galactic Civil War. So I feel like Zach is like George Lucas, just constantly rewriting Star Wars universe. He's writing the story. I'm just coming up with ideas. He's writing the story. I'm like Spielberg, and no, we don't want to do that.
No. I have the jowls almost falling, so it's fine.
I just knew somebody was going to start referencing that South Park episode.
Well. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think it's cool. Look, I think it's cool to take the moment to pause, which needs to happen, right? And then I think this Galactic Civil War thing's cool because it starts to build a universe that everyone is like, the characters are living in, like everyone else is affecting. They're actually affecting these things. And it might be like, oh, cool, yeah, whatever. But like, no, those things will come back into the story, if people are paying attention. But then, yes, then it's the clear distinction of like, here's the tangible,
there's an immediate tangible thing.
Effect
you're giving them a buff.
Saying to everyone,
yeah, it's
like it's okay to stop the flow to do this because it's so important. And I think that, again, spinning the plates, it's like, just got so into it just because of all.
Yeah, we want to make sure there's a payoff. You guys are fighting between light and dark for an hour. We want to make sure there's a payoff, a feeling of reward for getting it where you wanted it, and then seeing what happens because of it, and how many people died because you chose dark side.
Look, it's not the dark side. It's not that they're bad. They just look at things.
Are you an Empire sympathizer?
Yes. 100%.
That's good. That's good. We need that 100%. For the show. We need that for the show.
I will argue for the Empire ad nauseum. I mean, I get that they did things that were wrong, but it's in a galactic scale. We also do things very wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes. Drones, Death Stars.
Yeah, he said, that's cool. You mentioned something last week, something about a feeling they had at the end of the timer. Was that the start? Was that a stat boost like you're mentioning now? It was a feeling that you said something about them being more to like...
in tune with each other, yeah.
In tune with each other, like... And I think it makes sense to make that extremely tangible. Yeah, it's like an exact, you get this thing. Either it's, you get this plus or you get this minus. Yeah. Or this person now has this. I mean, that could, once you get to know the characters better, it's going to be really fun to start playing with that.
Yep.
Or it's more like,
now
you're at a disadvantage in this way.
Yeah.
That has to do with your character.
Or it's like, depending on, again, the situation, we'll be like, cool, let's say it's like a tier 3 thing, and it's like, cool, everyone's like strength stat boost too, right? At that point, like, cool, you have characters like Hector, who's now, clearly OP'd because of it. But if he's in a situation where he's not doing it, or maybe they're not in a situation where they're going to be normally having to use strength, now you have a robot that's just like, and like, whatever, right? Or on the negative side, if, there's a lot of options that we can. If it's light side positive, there's a lot of things that will be helping the players. If it's dark side, I will still say positive because I think it's positive for me. There's a lot that I can do.
Well, it could be like all NPCs get like a plus to whether to their damage, or to their aim, or to they all now have modified blasters or something like that. They went through weapons training and can actually hit something, like something. But I think the idea is we want to make it more cinematic, and I think what's fun,
that's the key,
is when you give people these abilities. Say for the next hour, has got extra strength, it's going to encourage him to do something more cinematic. Lifting up a giant thing and throwing it out a airlock, that kind of thing that gives them these moments to feel cinematic is really important in these kinds of shows. I think that's why plot points work so well in Vanquish. Like, it gives you a moment to be like, I'm going to be a fucking movie star or a superhero. So I think it'll be fun.
I think so, and I think to me it was the missing piece to and it's we were talking about this the Friday. All this stuff we had actually mapped out. Like, you go back to my original mock-up, and I actually clearly wrote like this thing, this thing. But it's like we're only we've only done 2 episodes, and so it's just like turning all the lights on, getting all the wires connected. Where it's like, duh, that's right. We've been talking about this for like I was talking with Ryan about it, and it was just like we had it all mapped out, and then soon as no plan survives.
That's why I think it's good for you to just be
enemy.
like, it's 0, pause.
Yeah.
Center yourself. And that's correct, DT Merrick. If characters are dark side aligned, wouldn't it give them a boost? Correct. Yep. And I think that could flow from episode to episode if they're more neutral.
Yep.
I think last week, for example, Darren just killing a fucking guy.
Dude, right?
You would be like, okay, plus for everyone on the light side except you.
Yeah.
You aren't feeling the power of the light in the Force right now.
Yeah.
Force just gonna
around you.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, we won't nitpick the fact that droids don't technically have the Force because it's gonna. Then at that point, it's done. So he will still be affected, and that would have been a perfect case to. You dark side. You shot a dude in the back of the head while he was unconscious, man. Like I don't know how else you can. But it was a very interesting character moment, and I, as well as probably everyone else watching, learned something very much about that character. So,
yep.
There you go.
Yeah. So it's gonna be an interesting trip, and I hope what I hope with those kinds of situations when they happen in role playing is that the players. What I don't like in role-playing games is when stuff like that happens and the world doesn't react to it.
Yeah.
That drives me nuts.
Yep.
So I hope that the players, someone should have a not great feeling about that.
Oh,
and that be a topic of discussion.
Yeah, no,
I
think it's good. Well, first off, that moment was great because there's a freeze frame of it somewhere, and I think somebody.
It was revenge, not murder.
It was. No, I was unarmed, and I get it. No, but it's like you see it, and there's this perfect image of Darren just sitting there, just staring me down as he does it, and everyone else on the couch is just being like what the hell, right? And I also was, kind of thrown off, but I think it's gonna be, again, it's. These character moments, conflict breeds good storytelling.
For sure.
So we have this moment where, especially because Herg was separated from the group, where he doesn't know that happened until they tell him. So, and it's like, again, Hector wasn't there for that session, so does he know about it? I don't know, right? But it's like, it's going to breed a very interesting relationship between, he has caused an action that affects everyone.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited. Would I say that I've made an unbreakable session this week? Yes, I totally have.
Why are you doing that?
Why are you doing that, Bert?
All right, so that was the start of our discussion for Edge of the Empire. And Pencils and Parsecs. We'll get back into it, I'm sure. I totally agree with Zach. It's almost stressful to watch if the world doesn't react to murder hobo behavior. I agree. There needs to connect to the viewers. Like, that's also the difference between playing with a group of friends and playing for the internet as a show. Because when you're just playing with friends, sometimes you just want to grab the biggest weapon and just wreck shit and not have it. Why would you want to think about conscience and morals and everything? It's like, it's role playing in a fantasy world. I want to just fuck shit up. And people use it in that way. But when you're doing it on the internet in front of an audience, you have to think about how are they going to connect to this character? How are they going to feel about this character's choices? How do we make that land in a way that makes you see both sides of this? And you expect certain people to not like some characters and like others, and that's part of it because they're getting connected. And people, I think it's a good thing if you have half the people in the audience saying, I like this character because of this, and others saying, I like this character because of this. If they're not just, you want them to be like questioning their decisions and not everyone just liking everyone, because then you've played it safe and you're not actually giving them people to relate to. But
I agree.
Yep, no consequences remove the impact of your decisions.
Correct. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. We'll move on. Would there have been consequences if he hadn't have shot that guy? Probably yes. Because he's going off talking about how he's an Alderaanian droid. Like, you can't not unhear that. So, anyways.
Conan says, Zach just nailed it for me. That's why some players have refused to play in my broadcast actual plays. Yeah, it's tough. And we try to set the precedent from the start that we're making a show that's more about improvisational storytelling than it is a game. Because a game's a very different thing. You can get away with playing a game for a live audience if you've got thousands and thousands and thousands of followers.
Sure.
And they're just on board with the ride with you. Because they just like you. If you're a media company like us, you can't get away with that. People just be like, I'm bored. I don't care.
Well,
So
yeah.
you gotta give them a story. You gotta give them something to respond to. The response to Pencils of Parsecs on YouTube has been overwhelmingly positive, comments-wise.
That's perfect.
That's good.
I try. Yeah, that's actually really good.
That's
Makes
good.
me feel happy.
Wonder if it would be better for donations to be percentage-wise, so it might end with 72% dark, 28% light, making the event be a dark side success event with light side advantage. To use the game dice lingo. Nah, I like the way it is. It's simple. It's really easy. It's here, it's red, or it's here, it's blue. Which one did it end? And 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. I might even have Pillow Zach put numbers. Tier 1, 2, 3. Tier 1, 2, 3.
Do it in the like episode 1, 2, and 3 like font.
Okay.
Right? So it'll be like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
It'll be like a good association with those numbers. I don't know.
Okay, so somebody said, I want to hear about Bert, the game developer.
Yeah.
So a lot of people probably don't know this because it's very common at Hyper for us to have game developers on.
True.
When you were back doing stuff at GNS, that wasn't very common.
I was just the guy that
You're just a normal
kept
dude
to play
that had a wig.
because people kept saying I could.
Because we kept going, we can't find anybody. For, Bert will probably show up. I bet we could get Bert here. Have him bring that costume this week. Yeah. If he doesn't put on the costume, though, we might be able to find somebody else.
Yeah.
That's
I
not
remember you handing me the wig for the first time. And you're like, I guess I'm doing this. This will be on the internet.
like, I guess Dignity doesn't. Okay. So what got you into game development? Like, what's this all about? What do? You have a company, right?
Yeah. So I work at Turn Me Up Games. I'm the narrative director there. So that hopefully will lend itself into this experience. So I got into games. I basically interned at a place during a summer. It was great. It was cool. It was video games up in Northern California. Went to college. Finished my last year, came back, and then that internship just turned into just pretty much the same exact story. Oh, you're still here. Well, I guess we should probably pay you, and you should have a job. And just kind of slowly worked my way. It was weird because I love video games. I started playing video games when I was like in kindergarten with like a Game Boy, and just haven't stopped. And now it's like, I finally was like, oh, cool, I'm gonna work in games, and it was in marketing, which was not necessarily my forte, and also kind of like a weird not class, but ecosystem of video games. Like, video game marketing is very...
Hey!
Money.
Did Zach just take a shot at someone over the word dignity?
That's why it's a joke. That's why it's a joke. Continue.
So did marketing there, and then kind of like transitioned that into production and producing. But then it was kind of a weird, I don't know how to describe it, like on again, off again relationship with the company. Like, I'd work for them and then I wouldn't, and then there's this weird thing. So then I finally said, screw it, I'm gonna leave and go put my degree of filmmaking to use. And I was one of the only people in the world who thought that they could come to LA and start making movies.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so it was really, I would say it was a blast because I was the only one, and it was perfect. And so then I did the PA gig for like a year, and by that I mean, man, there was some dark times, man. Like, I think there was one point where the only thing I had in my cupboard was pasta noodles and salad dressing. So I'd just make pasta noodles with every type of different salad dressing because that's all I had. And so I'd be like, oh yeah, the vinaigrettes are really good. And then I put like ranch on one. I'm like, oh, this is terrible. And I'd still have to eat it. And
so condiments and noodles. That's
condiments
great.
and noodles, like literally the probably worst things I could put into my
I just
life.
always go back to PB&J, man.
Yeah, that's
Like the most bang for the buck as far as like. I mean, noodles are good too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of calories and the starch and the carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Keep the energy up. But
Yep. So then,
for a living.
with PAing, that turned into, oh man, this is like a feast or famine kind of industry. So I was like, I'll just get a more consistent job. So that's where I actually worked and met Hector and Augie and Adam at the 3D conversion place. And I was like, it's kind of like film, it's fine. And then you kind of learn to really appreciate things called a steady paycheck. And then what was supposed to be like a 6 months of refilling the war coffers to go back out and be on set turned into me being there for like 3 years. And then, you know, it's cool. I got to meet a lot of great people, worked on movies, but then I transitioned. It was perfect time because I wanted to leave. My buddy Scott, who had been on a couple times, he ran this company called Turn Me Up Games. And he's like, hey man, I think we're at the perfect time and you want to come on board. I was like, hell yeah. So I came on board originally kind of starting off as just kind of producing, and then slowly have shifted into narrative directing, so which is fun. It's cool. I like to write, which is a weird thing to learn. Most people, when they're, I've always liked to write, and it's great. I didn't, and then finally, just from writing like role-playing games, I'm like, man, I really like stories. These are great. And then I've been able to thankfully kind of transition. So,
which is definitely, I think, so like when it comes to like style of GMs,
yeah,
and everybody's like different. I would say that's your strong suit, and it's unfortunate because people haven't got to see it yet because it's so early on. But you've written a lot of story for this. I've seen it. Rai-Rai's seen it, and we were like, "Ooh, this is gonna be great! This is gonna be really fucking great!" Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm super excited, and I'm excited for other people to see. Like, I'm a big fan of, and I love it with RPGs too. Like, there's still shit I hid throughout Vanquish that people haven't figured out.
Yeah, sure.
You know, like, I love hiding that stuff and having, like, call-outs to it, and then 7 or 8 months later bringing it back up, and I'm like, all right, who's going to be the person that figures this out or finds out what I was hiding in there all along? And I know that you're definitely that type of... I've seen the layout of what you've got planned, and that's definitely... You're definitely the story GM, so that's great.
But yeah, I think that, so I don't know, specifically about game dev, I don't know, so I'm a production side, so I don't know any technical skills, which is mostly production, which is a very loose term to mean you don't sleep a lot and you do a lot of different things, but it's weird because it's mostly writing in the sense of the crappy sense of like emails and game design docs and all that garbage, which is important, but I'm trying to think of specific. Is there specific gaming questions that people might?
Well, we can get in the Discord and find out. There's a lot of questions in Discord, so. Well, right off the bat, Garufa asked this morning if someone has money to spend, would you rather they tip or buy something off the wish list? Honestly, tipping right now. I mean, wish list helps a lot. We do have a wish list, and it does help, and it's a nice surprise when we get things we need. We got a lot of bills to pay and a lot of new employees to pay, so tips are great. And you know what else is great? New subscribers, guys. Every 5 subscribers we give away a Steam key here on Hyper RPG.
What is that?
He wants to show you that he ripped apart his bed and it's more comfortable now.
That's so cool. I remember when that bed wasn't ripped up.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. Oh, it's cooler now though.
It's cooler now. You ripped it up. You took all the styrofoam out of it and shredded that.
Yeah.
Good job. You're a good dog. Thanks for bringing that over here. Thanks for bringing that over here and showing it to us. But every 5 subscribers we give away a Steam key on Hyper RPG, and your subs go a really long way to keeping this place awesome and moving forward. And getting onto the subs, there's a question right here from Tahood. Zach, have you thought about pushing auto-renew subs more than Prime? I know it made you feel bad about subs when I asked in chat, but I'm curious if it helped month to month enough to make the loss of Impulse subs worth it. So it's a complicated thing with that. Obviously auto-renew subs help us more. But we're a heavily subscribed to channel already, like heavily. And I don't want to make people who, the reason I push Twitch subs sometimes is it's a great way for people who don't know that they have a subscribe sitting in their inbox because they already have Amazon Prime or have a family member that has Amazon Prime, that it's free for them. So it doesn't feel like an extra expense to them. Because we're such a already subscribed to channel. Until we start getting a lot of new viewers, I don't feel comfortable pushing them because I feel like everyone here is already doing as much as they can, and then if they can't, they just feel guilty, and I don't want to make anyone feel guilty. But obviously subscriptions help us a ton. It's just we need more viewers. We need new people in here, and then I'll start pushing them again. It's always hard to push when I look up and I'm like, oh, 98% subscriber rate in the chat room right now. Pre-Fi Donut, sorry, my Prime expired. I got you. Thank you, Pre-Fi Donut, for that resub. Thank you. Using that Twitch Prime to resub. But we get it. So it's, you know. Tweet at Amazon and Twitch to make Prime an opt-in auto-renewal. Won't happen, Naltaris. It won't happen. If you understand business, there's a valid reason they don't have auto-renew turned on that. Amazon Prime.
You get auto build.
Yeah. Oh
Maybe
my
like that just
fucking god, yes.
No, I did. Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, you ate dinner?
Yeah, I did.
So you're gonna stupidly pass up what she's about to offer?
Probably.
This is the dumbest decision you've ever made.
You don't know me well enough.
Oh my god. This is one of the most basic dishes, but every time Malika
really
makes
simple.
it, I'm like, fuck! Thanks, baby.
You're welcome.
It's so good.
It's called Hainanese chicken. It's just poached chicken with, and then you take the liquid from poaching it and you make a little soup.
Like a broth, yeah.
And then you make rice from it too, so it has the flavor of the chicken.
Nom, nom, nom.
Ginger sauce.
Oh, you're real dumb. You are so fucking
When
stupid.
someone says we're gonna start at 10, I didn't, normally eat dinner. 4. I'm good. I went home, I made turkey tacos, I'm good.
Malika, I love you.
Yeah,
You're
basically that's a code name for pasta with salad dressing.
This is so good. He's an idiot. This is really good. Sigma Pack, just subscribe!
Subscriber.
You get away from my chicken, dog. Thank you for subscribing to Hyper RPG. Welcome. Thank you. Welcome to Honesty Hour, my aerobics hour, where Malika usually feeds me, and we get subs for me to burn off those calories.
Perfect, yeah.
That's what it's for. Okay, going back to the questions here. Supalot asks, Bert, has being on Twitch changed anything in your normal life? No, you sit down, dog. You get the fuck back.
That's a pretty good question. I would say, well, yes. In the sense that I've met a lot of great people through kind of doing all the stuff. And then, I'm not gonna lie, I never used Twitter before I got on Twitch. Because I was like, I don't get it. What do I do? And then, I think it was actually you who so eloquently put, get your ass on that shit or else. And I was like, I'm gonna learn how to do this. And so I would say I literally use Twitter. I didn't use it, now I do, and I've met people on it that I never would have met otherwise. It's a great tool to communicate. Yeah. So Twitter. I mean, it's like I'm not an actor. So I know there's a lot of people who kind of try to transition doing all that stuff. It's like started the entire thing being, hey, do you want to come play HeroClix? Also, it's on this show, and I was like, sure, let's do it. And then I just keep sticking around. I'm like I think I'm
Just won't fucking go away.
I won't go away. I'm here, man.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh god, dude, you're so stupid.
I know.
Okay. What you got here? Oh, the cucumbers is like the best part, dude. Just fresh cucumbers. She's way too good to me. I don't deserve 90% of it. I'm aware of that.
We all are.
Everyone is.
As long as you're aware of it.
Yeah, it just makes you filled with a constant sense of dread and guilt. Doesn't make it better. Moving on. Geika says, Bert, if you could play an Edge of the Empire, what kind of character would you make?
Okay, so normally when I play in Star Wars role-playing games, I normally play a Keldorian, so that's like Plo Koon's race. They're the guys with like the breather masks. And I do some sort of like scout or soldier. But a buddy of mine created he's gonna start running his own, and he was like, you wanna be a part of it? I was like, yeah, sure. And I decided to be For the first time, like, and then like a human, because normally everyone always goes with, aliens and stuff because it's Star Wars and it's cool. Just because I've seen how important it is to have a human person in a party filled with aliens just to be able to kind of sneak around. I got a really cool backstory for it. He's this Empire guy and blah, 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 blah. My goal is to have him learn that, have his growth by learning that aliens aren't bad. And but, yeah, but normally
so he's racist.
Yeah, he starts off, not racist, just like he starts off indoctrinated a little bit. And so, but normally when I play, I do Keldor with breather mask, and there was definitely a time when I was playing and a co-team member broke my mask, and I started suffocating, and it was the worst feeling to sit there and be like, I built this person, and like he's dying, and I feel like I'm dying, and it's a horrible death, and yeah. But Keldors are awesome. Cloakling is amazing.
All right, moving on. Bert, how cool is it to be the GM for PMP?
Oh my god, it's very cool. I still don't understand why I'm past whatever I passed to do that. It's great. It's so much fun. I love Star Wars. I love the cast. I love telling a story. So those are three things that make me feel like this is perfect. And now it's just learning how to do everything smoothly.
You can thank Hector.
Yeah? Okay. Okay.
I was talking to Hector about the idea for a show, and he was like, you should talk to Bert. I was like, oh, Bert does this? And he's like, yeah, Bert GM'd a game I did. Yeah. You should talk to Bert. Okay, I will.
Thank you, Hector.
And then we talked to you, and you're like, yeah, I'll do it. And I was like, cool.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. That's good. That's good. I love it. I love it. It is the highlight of my week for me.
What I also loved about setting up the Star Wars show, it's the only show we've ever done where every person we asked said, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Just right off the bat, like, oh, yeah, I'll be on that show.
Yeah, it's sick. It's a cool, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Star Wars? Yeah, okay. Way past my bedtime, but okay.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah. It gets to the point where I try to move things along just because I feel like Darren will fall asleep on the couch. It's going to happen, I know it. Starting to get concerned.
Get out of here, Kaiju. Get out of here. Get out of here. Okay. Yeah, I know. Pete wants to know, is Bert the Bert to Zach's Ernie, or is Zach the Bert to Bert's Ernie?
Is Bert the Bert to Zach's Ernie, or Zach the Bert? I think you are the Bert to my Ernie.
Whatever, I don't care about this question.
Which makes you the perfect Bert!
I walked into that one. Next question. Lemire wants to know, how hard is it to GM when the entire cast forks the plot immediately?
I'm stealing this. How hard is it to GM when they force the plot immediately? Man, you have to you have to learn how to think quick, and I don't necessarily do that all the time so far yet, but it's fun. It's cool. It keeps you on your toes. It's interesting stuff happens.
It's really dead, Kaiju.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Some water? You got it?
I'm good. It depends on how much more I laugh. The puppy is not here tonight.
We figured it might be too much to deal with because Kaiju and Ninja play.
They really play. They really have a good time. But there's a lot of expensive equipment here. So that's another fast track to getting fired is breaking everything. So.
Savage Punch wants to know, Bert, how much time did you spend fleshing out Alexander Choi, and where did his name come from?
I spent more time than I care to admit.
Bert, you're gonna have to breathe if you're gonna do the show.
No, this is. Hold on.
Have you ever been sent to the hospital for
For laughing?
For laughing and almost killing yourself?
I have thought there was a point where I was legitimately, we joke about, oh, this is how I'm going to die. Like,
you probably will. You're probably going to be like 70 and your heart's going to be like, nope, can't do it.
I somehow feel okay with that. Because I feel like the laughing, it's a cycle. The laughing increases my life expectancy, but it also is destroying my heart. So it's like a weird, as long as I balance it. No, there's times where I can't breathe and I'm like, I think this is it. Like, I'm going to die. But you don't care because you're so euphoric.
Okay, so fleshing out Alexander Choi.
Alexander Choi, I fleshed him out. I don't want to ruin what my goal was for that person, but I spent pretty much from the beginning of me starting the story, I started writing this character and had a plan for it. The name comes from a good buddy of mine who I played Star Wars with, who is also very pro Empire, and I was going to try and model a lot of things after him and be like, hey man, you're in the show, wink wink, and he's dead, so I don't know.
Hey man, you were in the show, wink wink.
Very briefly. So.
Bad Chili says, I really want to play Age of the Empire more, but I have no one near me to play. So, Bad Chili, you're a subscriber here in our Discord. I'm pretty sure there's a role-playing room, and if you asked a bunch of thumpers, I bet there's a thumper group that would want to play. People like playing games together on this channel, so just hit up the role-playing group and see if you can get a group together.
Yeah, you can do long distance role-playing quite easily nowadays, and I would highly recommend it. Yeah, there's a lot of programs to do this.
Ooh, how delightful. It's the games room. Hashtag games room. Okay.
Hashtag games room.
Now they're saying the volume's a bit high.
Probably, let me just...
No, not you. The music.
The
music. Malika, can you turn down the music just a little?
Thank you.
It's actually a window that's open in the browser. Okay, next question. Bert, what's the most exciting thing about GMing in front of a live audience, even if the audience is digital, and what's the hardest thing about it as well?
Most exciting thing is I'm not writing a story for just 4 people. I'm writing a story for everyone who's watching. And the more and more we start involving like this new, that's why I'm so excited about this new system. The more and more we have like these kind of galactic Civil War events and all this different stuff. Those are things that basically, those are tools that you guys are giving me to bring into the story. And it'll be like our aha moments. So it's cool to write kind of, in my head, collaboratively with people on this. I guess it's a weird way to look at it. I think the hardest thing is also, in the same point, you're writing a story for not just 4 people, but like everyone who's watching.
Oh, so. Yeah, and a large precision, they'll be like, you made the wrong decision there.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I think it's that, and then the fact that there's we're only 2 episodes in. It's been super fun. It's been super educational from a GM perspective, but it's also a lot of learning that needs to happen really quickly. So, especially after the last episode 2, it was like as soon as it ended, that's why we jumped into like the whole conversation we went into of just like, all right, this is how we need to do, and I think that will make it only easier for me to kind of move forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good question.
Those conversations will happen a lot until I don't need to have them with you anymore.
Yeah, they'll continue, so they'll just keep happening. You should always have.
It's good. It's why I feel comfortable telling you guys to subscribe to this channel, is because we try to improve every single week.
Yep.
We really do try. Because I'm a perfectionist and I don't like a lot of the things I do.
So I don't like Zach yelling at me, so I'd like it to stop.
That'd be great.
Yep.
I don't want to yell at him, so do better.
Please.
Next question. Bert, how does character death work on your show? Reroll a character? Not very likely to happen, so don't worry about it. I don't know, the way they're acting lately.
I wouldn't be.
I don't know. We never had that discussion.
We haven't. I'm very. How did you deal? Have you dealt with character death on some of the stuff that you were doing, and how did you?
Well, it depends on the show. On Death from Above, if somebody dies, we write them up. They're off the show.
Yeah.
And we hire a new actor.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But that's hardcore. Like that's a totally different model. I mean, it's because it's the BattleTech universe, which is not a cinematic universe. It's an unforgiving universe. If you're dead, you're fucking dead.
Lots of people die.
Star Wars is a little more like superhero stuff, and so for our superhero show, you couldn't really die. You could become unconscious. You could get knocked out. You know, your team could say. You know, there were a lot of opportunities for the team to save you because superheroes. That's not what it's about. It's not about death. It's about overcoming. So it's different for each show. You know, they've said on Shadowrun if somebody dies, they'll re-roll, but that's their choice. You know, like it's kind of up to what you guys want to do. I think if we have a really, really good group on our hands, I wouldn't want to be like, nope, you know, sorry, Emma, your character died because CZ decided to turn on you and kill you, and that's just the way it is. Sorry, you're off the show.
Yeah. Ooh, why would he have ejected you out into space? I don't know.
We don't know, but you're off. Sorry, that was Darren's way of saying he didn't want you on the show anymore. So
pretty much. I think it's an interesting thing to. That's actually something I probably should have thought about earlier, and now that you bring it up, I will start thinking about that. I think I think characters should be able to die. I'll phrase it like that, in the sense that I don't think anyone should be unable to die, but I think it should be done in the right way. If that makes sense. And that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah. Shadowrunner asks, do you know when Zombie Orpheus will be doing their show? I believe the first day is February 11th. I think that's the first day. I think that's what we've decided is February 11th. Okay. Culturo says, Bert, how frustrating is it when groups sideline your GM plans, i.e. killing off the main NPC or prematurely exiting the casino? Do you have plan B plot lines for these situations? I bet you do now.
I do now. Well, it's like, it depends on the scenario, right? So like for the leaving the casino, it was just like, oh, I guess we're going to move this forward. So it was just a very interesting way how they did it. But I still had kind of, I went crazy madman, like Howard Hughes, locked myself in a room on the first kind of thing. And I toned it back for 2. And it was almost like I toned it back too much because I realized I had designed something as like, from a game design perspective, designed something that wasn't good from the standpoint of, normally in a video game it's like, oh cool, there's an NPC that you need to have, they won't, you shoot them as much as you want, they won't die, right? But that's different in a role-playing game, so it's like I had things that planned out, and so it turned into kind of a different approach. It's difficult. You gotta try and plan as much as you want. Part of it is being able to think on the fly, and it goes back to what you were saying of like the difference is if it was in a personal setting, I could be like, okay, hold on, time out. Let me think about this for a second. You guys get some sodas or whatever. Do what I can. You
go outside and think about what you've done.
We're done today. Let me think this through. It's like it's totally different where you don't have that moment. I can't just be like, all right, well, time out. Let me figure it out. So it's difficult. It's hard. I try to plan as much as I am learning more and more. We're only 2 episodes in, and I feel like I've learned something new each time about the characters and how to write and where to go. So it's just a learning process, and it is what it is.
Conan's like, I don't know the cast of PvP. If they got solid yes from everyone they asked to join the cast, it might be worth going with Permadeath to offer a chance to play with more people. I disagree. The reason it's so impressive, as everyone says, is it was all the first people that we asked. It's the people we wanted that are on the show. That's the people we wanted to be on the show. So we're not going to be like, okay, bye. It's like, that's who we wanted. That was our dream cast, and we got them together. I mean, when we found out about Kim, we were like, duh.
Yeah.
9 years of Jedi, or 10 years of Jedi training. Yes, please.
First female Jedi Master.
Yeah, please be on our show. You know, that'd be great. I saw somebody else say something about, you know, is it hard with the shorter time frame because it starts at 9, having it in early, and I think giving the talent that's on this show, there is a different kind of pedigree that we have to have, and I think most of our RPGs, they're saying that because a lot of our RPGs go up to 3 hours.
Yeah.
You know, and,
absolutely.
The show is scheduled to be able to run 2.5 hours, but if it ends right after 2, that's fine. I think respecting the talent's time is important. So
I agree. I think we will definitely have those moments where it will go wrong. But at the same point, it's respect. It's there's certain people who may be keeping them up later than others. You know.
Gotta respect it.
You gotta respect it.
If you didn't want the guy to die so badly, why didn't you make it harder to kill him?
Because
Because you'd already
disingenuous
made him.
to me, and it's not saying that you don't do this, and you can definitely fudge some stuff as a GM, right? That's something you can always do, but at the same point, it was a decision that they wanted to make, and I realized why they were making this decision, and so it was important to facilitate that, despite the fact that it destroyed everything that I had written.
Yeah. Yeah, I think...
and I also tried wet throwing dice at it, and they still ended up killing him, so... Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I mean, I have an advantage in Vanquished in that it's a superhero universe.
Yeah.
And it's a universe that is literally a sandbox in that way. And it's one a lot of people don't know about.
Sure. Yeah.
You have a disadvantage, and that if you announce someone as just a human soldier or spy or something like that, that's all he is.
Yep.
There's not much more mystery to that. I can have a person who is leading them along and talking about certain things, and if they go to shoot him in the back of the head, all of a sudden a force field appears and the bullet ricochets off, and it's like, oh, you didn't know he had psionic powers and he's got a force field, did you? You shouldn't be trying to kill the NPC now, should you?
Yep.
Surprise! I just made that up. He's got a force field. He's a mutant now. Like I can get away with that. You can't.
Yeah.
You know, I can do that shit. So, yeah, I can pull Harada out of my ass and humble them. I have a lot more freedom in the Star Wars universe. You're kind of fucking locked, and honestly, I don't envy you for that.
No, I
don't envy you because you've got strong parameters. I mean, I have different parameters. My parameters are like character based. I can't have characters that are from the universe. There's a lot more players in that universe that are canon that I can't touch. I can't make them different.
Yeah.
There's not as many canon in Star Wars that you can't fudge with. But the universe itself is so new, I can do whatever the fuck I want with it. Your universe is like, people are like, again, well, in this book,
according to legends, I'm allowed. Yeah. I mean, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, consequences. It's like, cool, there are, they decided to do that. There's going to be consequences for it. Like, I don't know. I think it's as much as it sucks more in a GM perspective, you want to facilitate the players exercising certain things. And that was definitely a moment where we had Emma who made a decision in the moment, and you're like, okay, wow, all right. And then Darren who made a decision in the moment. Both of them said something about who that character is, and it all revealed something to the audience.
No, it's a good moment.
If it destroys my plans, what is better? And it's just like, to me, it's like
destroying your plans. Always.
Destroy your plans.
Yeah.
Like, it's so much easier.
You never knew that you were going to be in the second episode and have one of your main characters shoot someone in the back of the head. Like, that's, you got to run with that. You got to run with it.
You just got to do it.
You're like, thank you for the what this gives me to work with the next couple months. But
I guess that just happened.
So, Blue Band B says level 3 dark event. Vader drops in for a drink at casino.
Yeah,
like,
and he would have spent more time there than they did. So
and piss off Admiral Thrawn. Do you have any plans to bring in some known names from the Star Wars universe?
Possibly. It depends. My knee jerk in the moment is no, because I like the stories where I don't think that those characters always have to be everywhere. It's kind of like...
you do realize Twitch is all about fan service, right?
Sure, absolutely. But I think to me, the fan service comes into that level of, again, the galactic Civil War moments where it's like, if something affects that, or like if maybe like a character was present in that, and then having that come in, I think, because at this point now we're diverging and we're creating our own kind of timeline. At this point now, I can do whatever I want with those characters. I could have those people come in, and it's fine to me. I just want to make sure that it logically makes sense and it's not too much of a... why is this person...
And I know some people are a little biffed by our new later time schedule in some of our RPGs. My honest response to that is, what would you have us do? There are no other options. We can't stack our RPGs into the afternoon because people work. They have jobs. They can't make it. Yeah. And we don't want to you obviously don't want us to cancel the RPGs we already have. So unless you invent a calendar or a clock that has more time in the day, we're kind of this is the best we've got. It's our best option, and honestly, it works better for a lot of our LA talent because they want the later start time.
Yeah.
Most of them want the later start time because they're usually stuck in traffic until 7 p.m. at the earliest. Like, when we started telling people down here, okay, we're thinking about making our shows 9 p.m., most people were like, oh, God, great.
It's the only way I'm able to do it.
Oh, man, I couldn't, so it's the best option. It's funny how it worked out because for the Seattle people, earlier is better because they have early morning day jobs. Most of LA doesn't get up before 11 a.m. So
I envy that though a little bit.
What?
Being able to get up at 11.
You don't?
No, I'm up. We're dealing with different time zones. I'm up at like 8 in the office or 9.
Yeah,
I'm lucky.
Most of the
but yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Yeah,
most of them are talent. And their day starts around 11 a.m.
and then they go a thing called AM.
And they go to a voice studio or different gigs, and they get done around 7 to 8 p.m. And a lot of people schedule their day like that in the talent industry to get around peak traffic times. Yep. Nobody wants to be sitting on the interstate at 9 a.m. because it's a waste of time. You're just good. Yeah. So, just the way it is. We just can't do anything about it. I mean, it's literally our best option. And when we have the ability to change it, we do, Trogaf. And honestly, Trogaf, Gauntlet's partly being changed because we knew it was a big problem for you, and you're that show's biggest supporter, and we take that to heart. So we talked a lot about it and decided that 6 p.m. was going to be better for the Gauntlet because the people who are big fans of it wanted it at that time. But our other RPGs that didn't have the option to move, just can't do it. All right. Somebody said, Professor Pessimist says, I use the RPGs like podcasts and listen to them during walks. Good news for you, Lucas is going to get us a podcast store set up.
Oh, sweet.
We're not going to charge for them, but we're going to get a podcast store set up. Lucas is going to start exporting our RPGs onto SoundCloud and then set up a store on iTunes and stuff like that. We've got so many RPGs now.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, that's the plan. Okay. Zach is clever for moving his job into his house. Hasn't had to leave the house in weeks. It's true. I don't fucking go anywhere.
Do you prefer that, or is that weird?
I prefer it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
I have too much to do. I definitely worked out of my house for a little bit, and I was going in crazy. So it takes a certain type of individual.
Certain type of crazy. It's true. Luckily, the house is really big.
Yeah.
I
mean, get
mean,
lost in here sometimes.
Malika and I's room that we're renting out of this house is the same size of our apartment, our old apartment. So it's kind of like, it's weird, but at times it's like we could never ever. Everyone's sharing an expense here, so it's kind of like you got your pluses and minuses. Living in LA, you always have to live with roommates. It's a joke, but you have to have roommates because it's always houses, and you live in a house with a couple other people or apartment with other people. It's fine. That's just the way it is. To have an opportunity to live in a place like this, yes, there's the big downside of, we're working out of here all the time. Oh, there's usually strangers here. And people...
Do you know who that is? And it's just everyone asks.
Well, I know that's how it is for like Malik and Alex. They walk out the door and like, I don't know who that is. That's, okay, cool. So there's a downside there.
Sure.
But the upside is like, for one, we could never have a studio this nice if I wasn't splitting some of the cost, and I could never live in a place this nice if I wasn't splitting some of the cost.
Totally.
So it's like Malika and Alex and I all living here, the only way we could have a studio this nice for the business, but also the only way we as people could live in a place like this and actually have like a comfortable, like a yard for kaiju and shit. We couldn't afford that if it was just her and I trying to find a place. So it's like, it's a shared expense. There's pluses and minuses to both sides.
When you spend, this is just speaking from my experience, right? When you spend that much time working, right? And even if you have a really nice place, right? And let's say you found a studio here and you had a place somewhere else, you're spending this much time here, your place becomes a glorified storage unit.
It's
That's
abstract.
all it is. That's
how it was in Seattle. It's abstract. I like that now I can. I don't know. It's more comfortable for me. I know it probably sucks for Malika, but it's comfortable for me. It sucks though. It's hard. But when we're putting this many hours in at a startup, I mean, I tried to get around it in Seattle by putting my apartment right across the street because I'm afraid to drive when I've been up for like 18 hours working. Yeah. I don't feel comfortable driving.
Dude,
it's not a good plan.
It's not a good plan. It is a recipe for disaster. Sleep deprivation is a serious thing.
Bluebird, probably. I'll let my accountant figure it out. Davlin says, Bert, what is your tabletop history? How did you get into it, and what systems do you enjoy playing?
Tabletop, specifically talking tabletop RPGs or tabletop games? Both? Either?
Both.
Neither? Tabletop game. I have a closet full of board games, so I love games. As a family, we would have Tuesday game nights, and we'd always make sure to be at the house, so we'd eat a meal, and we'd play some sort of game. And
that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
That's really cool.
It's super cool. So develop a love, like, and this is like early on. It's games like we would every Christmas. My entire family is like big movie buffs, right? So every Christmas, everyone's getting some sort of movie, and so the inevitable question is like, well, whose movie do we watch? So for the longest time, and it's turned into like nobody wants to do it anymore because I end up always winning. But it's like we would play Risk, we played the board game Risk to determine whose movie we won. And so the game completely shifts because what you do is you put your movie out and you're playing for your movie. So you don't play to win, you basically play against, like if you had, this is a year where this happened, where it's like my sister had Hairspray as a movie and everyone's like, well, we don't want to watch this movie. So the game shifts into like, I don't care if I will go all out to take you out because I don't want to watch that movie, and somehow she wins and we're watching it. And super fun. So board games, I love board games. The most recent thing I've discovered, which I love, is Above and Below, which is a great board game that my roommate brought in. And then tabletop, I played everything from the Warhammer Fantasy to now I'm playing like X-Wing miniatures and Hero Clicks and all that stuff. Tabletop RPGs, I started playing the Star Wars Wizards of the Coast D20 role-playing system. I got really into it, and it ranged from like tried running sessions with like 10 people, and I was like, I did that once. I was like, never again. Like, you think splitting the party's bad with 4 people? Think about it. It was like 8 people. I was like, we're gonna go do this, and I was like, oh, I want to kill myself. And I did that for a long, long time, and then I really loved it. It's a traditional D20 system, and then I transitioned from that into Saga, which is still Wizards of the Coast, which is like a streamlined version of the old one, and that's what I was actually playing with Hector for. And then I just recently discovered the Fantasy Flight version, and then kind of tooled around with that a little bit, and then into that. So my role-playing games has primarily all been Star Wars. I've never did Dungeons and Dragons. I haven't really done anything else. Oh, I did run a Halo the video game themed session for a hot minute, and it was like a custom built thing. It was super fun.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, it was. Because
you're a big Halo fan. Every time I went over to you guys' house, you guys had like Halo turned on but paused.
Yeah.
Like you would be playing on Legendary, and instead of turning it off and reopening your save points, like just pause it. We'll come back to it later.
Yep. Yeah. So that's. I try to make a lot of custom ones that are fun. So I did the Halo one. I'm trying to think of some other stuff. But
Gundam Mac, I really like that idea. Are we gonna have to tip things so you can get fresh ingredients for chunky salsa since produce is expensive as fuck? And we'll expand options. Yeah, right now Malika and I are buying the food for the show. I'd love more people to watch that show and tip for food. We would love that. We like doing it. Malika loves cooking on camera. But you know, it's coming out of our pocket right now. All right, let's get some more questions there. Also, what is your overall GMing philosophy? Are you more rules-based, or does RPing trump everything?
I hate rules. And I say that in the sense where I
you're a game developer.
Yeah, I still think there should be structure, but I will always lean on a role-playing or narrative than rules, mainly because it's the difference between the last session I played in this one. Right? You have all these people that, one, are happy to be here, granted, we're in like a shortened kind of time frame in the box, so it's just kind of like, let's move, you know, the narrative forward. Juxtapose that with a different session I played where everyone was just so technical, it ruins the flow of the game. It's just like, how far away am I, right? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, because in my head I'm like, we haven't. Just like, well, I have this skill that's based off this many meters and like that, and I just like, dude, like I don't. It's when you get super technical. This is my problem. Is people tend to just try to break the game from a game mechanics wise, which I
hate. It's so annoying.
I hate it.
It happened. Yeah, that's been my experience too, especially when you're doing a show. Like if you go systems based, the players are trying to break the game, and the audience is trying to break the game, and then they end up just arguing about how they can or can't do it.
Yeah.
It just ends up an argument, which is the most boring thing to watch.
Yeah, I agree. So I've always leaned that, and that's definitely. I'm sure. Well, no, I'm positive. I know it fucking drives people who are rules focused crazy, but for me, I'm like, it's much. The joy that I get from seeing, you know, the Fast Hut special outweighs any sort of technical rules. Like, that was a great moment. It was super fun. Like, I don't know. That's me. But at the same point, I think that there should be structure. Like, someone, I want to do this and this and this and this is like, all right, let's just take it one step at a time. But it should always facilitate role playing and narrative over number counting. If that makes sense.
Cool.
In my mind.
Bert, will you be guest starring on Indomitable? Most definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, most definitely. And we're still working a lot on that show. Just to give you an update on that, like we're working on it, trying to figure out what works best, how to make it work in the way I want it to, and maybe it can't, and I'll have to retool certain aspects. But I'm going to keep working on it because we want to have HeroClix on the channel and have fun with superheroes, but we got to find a way to make it work.
Totally.
Bert.
On that note, I will. You know, let me know when you want me to come on as Emma Frost.
Yeah, of course. We've talked about it. Who's your favorite Jedi?
All time?
Yeah.
Plo Koon. I think Plo Koon he just looks dope. But I also think Obi-Wan is. I think the people bag on the prequels for obviously good reasons, but there was a lot of cool stuff that came out of it, and I think. Like, I remember watching the Star Wars Clone Wars cartoon series, the first one, the animated one, and when the first time they revealed that the dude in Clone Trooper armor is Obi-Wan, I'm like, what? And I'm like, there's so many cool Obi-Wan moments. I think Plo Koon, yeah, I like it. I'm a big Plo Koon dude.
Cool.
Even though he doesn't really do anything in the movies besides get shot in the eye.
Bert and Zach, if you could go back in history and watch one person sneeze, who would it be?
Ooh.
I'm going to modify that a little bit.
Okay.
One person sneeze and one person fart.
Oh, okay. Interesting. You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I'd like to go back in history and catch Hitler in a fart.
That's pretty good. Okay.
It would immediately just make me go,
Yeah.
fuck you. You ain't that special.
Yeah, everybody poops. You just
And it'd have to be one of those two where he was trying to hide it and was just kind of like, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it'd be like, I saw you fart, Hitler. It's a little man. Sneeze. Sneeze. See, sneeze is actually tougher for me. Sneeze is a little tougher.
I would, if I can't say, I think fart, to me, I would love to see the first fart. Because to me, that would be amazing. Because it would be somebody not expecting it to happen and and freaking out. And maybe even freaking out all of the other people around them. Because they would not know what's going on.
Oh, I guess we're getting ready to... thank you for tuning in, Steph and Steph's audience.
Just talking about farts.
But wait,
You gotta imagine that would be so...
But how do you evolve? I don't imagine that there's a moment where like consciousness came over such a long period of time.
Sure.
That I doubt it's like one day man realizes that he's a man, and then 20 minutes later he's like, oh God, what was that?
But no, it had to have happened.
Not like that. It was probably like no one could ever remember the time when they remembered that they were doing that.
You have a human singularity moment where we realize we're sentient.
A human singularity moment.
Yeah.
We need to talk to some anthropologists and just some like who.
Yeah, it's definitely not the right term.
When and how? What moment in human history did we become consciously aware enough to question
our own existence?
Well, you know what came right after our own existence, and what was that? Was that coming from my buttocks? Was that sound from my buttocks? What demon has inherited my bowels?
Yeah, because then there's also the other people around him. Like they might have instantly stoned that person, and then they all started doing it because they ate.
Yeah, and that's in a human singularity moment. That one moment.
Yeah.
They're like, oh no, we all do it too.
Yeah.
Oh, we're all infected with the demon.
Mm-hmm. Just think about it. Just think about it. Sneeze. Sneeze is tough because it's like, I guess, like fart is very. I can't believe we're having this conversation. I can't believe we're having this conversation. Fart is very, like you said, it's like a very.
Hey Malika, is there more of the sauce? Oh yeah.
You're so pumped right now.
Oh yeah.
Fart is very. It's associated with a negative.
I like this. Bluebird says this is the plot of Westworld season 2. Where's the maze leading? Wait, what was that?
I'm stealing this too. Sneeze. I would say like. I don't know what the play is on this one. If you go with an awkward thing, would it be funny to watch? Like, I don't know, Abraham Lincoln sneeze because he's really tall. He's got the hat. Would it fly off of him? Like,
he's always wearing the hat. Mm-hmm. He's always wearing the hat, Bert. Yeah. At all times throughout his history as a person, he's always wearing the hat.
It was that. Always had that. Born out came a little hat. It was great.
I'm just trying to think of whoever is the most like proper individual ever.
Yeah.
And what it would be like to see them recover from that.
Aggressive sneeze. Not like a... It's like... like disruptive sneeze. Yeah. And if you do it... All right. There's a version of this. There's a version of this.
That being
you
said...
pick a person in the moment.
That being said, it could also go the other way, too, with the insecurities of our current president. If he was on a stage and he's like...
That's true. That's true, too. You could do the reverse. It'd be like if...
Look at my big hands!
It'd be like if Genghis Khan was, like, trying to, like, you know, we're about to go pillage some place, and he's, like, giving some sort of speech, and...
Yeah.
But then no one could make fun of him because he's Genghis Khan. But everyone would know that happened. That's a good point. I guess there's a lot of ways to look at it. We've been talking about...
We've spent a lot of time on this question.
Yeah.
It's the important questions.
It's bringing you the hard-hitting questions.
Emily says, Bert, your enthusiasm during pencils and parsecs is contagious. Thanks for joining the Thumper family.
Thank you for having me. I am so happy to be a part of this. Thank you. My goal is to continue to bring that same enthusiasm into the actual session every time. It's difficult. The first week I was sick, and yesterday or last episode 2 I had car problems, so it was hard for me to commit 100%.
There's always gonna be something, Bert.
And there's always gonna be something. I know.
You gotta learn how to center yourself.
You told it to me while yelling at me, which was counter.
Get your shit together, Bert!
Be more zen, and it was conflicting. It didn't make sense.
Yeah, I need you to fucking get your shit together. and stop worrying so much about
Find
shit.
your center!
You need to become one with the energy around you, Bert. I would love to be like an LA like spiritual advisor. Open up a store.
This is so aggressive.
Open up a store in Silver Lake. Somebody walks in. Sit the fuck down.
It's the best location you could put that.
Yeah, just downtown or like right around Silver Lake area.
Oh my god.
That'd be so great. I'm letting you. Yeah, get your
Yeah, I need it. Thank you.
Ozai75 says, Bert, are there any plans to implement any Sith Inquisitors into the game as a taste of the power that the Imperials wield? Or are you holding off the big guns until much later?
I will say this. There are big guns that are coming around the corner. Hopefully again in my head if everything goes through. I think people...
Dude, we ended in a really interesting spot.
Yeah, we fucking did. It was really good.
I don't know if you guys remember this shit, but...
How are they going to explain... I'm very curious. I can't wait for Friday. Just to see, there's consequences for their decision. And then it's like, not only that, again, we didn't fully... We're changing the system, but because it ended light side... I'm sorry, the session ended dark side... There's a lot of ways where that could have turned, where who was on the other door. In my head, it's like, cool, we ended dark side. This is who this person is, right? And so they sent the droid in on his own. Like the dude doesn't have a good track record with talking to people. Like, we'll see what happens. It's hard to predict because they are so unpredictable. But you just gotta keep going. But it's created so many great moments.
Yeah. Are there any plans to upload the Game Jam morning update to YouTube? Yeah. Emily, if you're still watching, upload the Game Jam morning update to YouTube, please. Eating too much food too quick. Skexy says, so Bert, on a scale from premature ejaculation to a Guinness World Record breaking gangbang.
Oh my!
How much did the players fuck your plans? That's an appropriate question.
I would say it's.
There's no Guinness record for that.
Guinness record breaking. What's the record?
There isn't one.
Is the people? The size? Isn't that just an orgy now at this point? Or I guess it's not because it would only be. Yeah, I think. I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna look this up later, but I might for science and for reasons. I might. No. It really did. The fact that it happened and it happened so early in the session was great from the standpoint of I had to just immediately start retooling it. I'm gonna delete what I had plans for because there's no point at this point. He's gone.
Yeah, I think we can move on from that completely because you never want to talk about what could have happened because you might want to reuse certain aspects.
Of those parts. Yeah.
Bert, as a world-class voice actor,
yes,
give us some tips on how you pull off those voices.
Crazy voices. God. I think it's funny is I come up with it just kind of because I need to, and then it's somebody else who always describes what it is, and I go, oh, that's true. It's like I remember Scott Porter's like it's like Eric Cartman and
he was making fun of you when he was on the show.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah,
he was using your voice.
He does a really good one
to do a female character.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You weren't here, but in spirit.
Yep. It's happened a lot. Yes.
I'm playing HeroClix. It's time to do this voice. I'm gonna kiss some people today. This is how women sound, and I'm still single.
Yes, it's true. I don't know how women work. My coping mechanism is strange voices. It's true. Thanks, Zach. Is it midnight yet? Can I go home?
Sure.
really deep.
It's honest, yeah. We're gonna get there eventually.
Very honest.
It's eventually we're gonna talk about it. You don't do that like if you're like on a first date and you're like, oh, you were so just totally like just then like, oh god,
yeah. You know what you sound like? This is what you sound. Oh my god, you're so crazy. Shut the door. Listen
to you. This is what you sound like when you just order your food. Oh god, I'll take the salad with the chicken. But how's the date going so far? Are you having fun?
I'm really feeling this. This is really. You feel this is crazy. Walk out. Yep.
I kid. We'll get there eventually, though. Mm-hmm. How far out do you have P&P planned?
I have a very, at this point, judging off the speed in which you're moving through the material I have a decent amount of material planned. I have an overarch. I have a story planned out from start to finish of kind of main points. The key is to how long we need to extend that out or what have you. I have multiple planets. I have multiple things. So decently, I would say also at the rate that we're going, I kind of did a huge outline, and then I'm taking it by chunks, and then I take it by weeks. So it really comes down to how fast the group moves, and at the same, they're equally unpredictable, probably in the speed that they can probably go. Honestly, are you being honest? That's pretty straight up. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Look. If you didn't make such good food and put it in front of me, I wouldn't overeat.
It's clearly your fault. It's too good.
Maybe I'll desensitize.
She's trying to make me heavy. She has a goal to give me a belly.
Is that the thing? Is that the goal? You like a little bit of? Yeah.
It's been
a work of art, man. You got that.
It's getting there.
Yeah.
Can you do the? Yeah.
Can you do the extended food belly?
It's a lot of food right now. Thanks, Malika. You're doing a good job. Yep. Okay. It's good though, because when she's not around, I work and I don't eat.
Yeah. At the same point, it's like
I have a very unhealthy lifestyle.
Yeah, it's very unhealthy. We're gonna have an intervention at some point. Yeah, but you think about it, it's like it's camel. You're cameling.
Yeah.
You're eating a lot now, and then you're storing it up, and then that gets you the next thing. Yeah. I get it. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Totally healthy, and there's no long-term ramifications.
Yeah, definitely. There's no long-term ramifications for ingesting as much food as possible that's sitting in front of you in that time because you don't know when you're going to have it again. Yep. You're going to make cinnamon rolls?
Yeah, but I mean, you just want to eat more chicken.
No, vegan cinnamon rolls sound really good right now.
Yeah?
Yeah! You want some cinnamon rolls?
Actually, yeah, that sounds
dude,
good.
We're gonna have some cinnamon rolls. Yes! Oh, gosh, this is great.
No consequences whatsoever in these decisions.
What happened to those sunken cheeks and hollow eyes Zach used to have, Malika?
I've been cameling for 43 years!
Yeah, that's that kind of question too. Like, whenever somebody brings up, like, I was gonna make cinnamon rolls, who in their right mind's gonna be like, oh yeah, you know what? Don't.
Yeah.
Don't. You know those cinnamon rolls you're gonna make? Don't do that.
That doesn't sound good.
Don't do that. Bert, what SPF level sunscreen do you use?
I make really good life decisions and don't use sunscreen, which is again.
Me too.
No long-term ill effects at all.
Yeah.
I wear a lot of hats. So we're gonna talk about this because that was a this reference.
Yeah.
So they say you inherit your hair genetics from your mother's side, right?
Sure, whatever.
This is what everyone told me, right?
Yeah, I'm sure there was a Dateline episode about it in the 90s.
Totally. And then they asked people if you could go back in time and watch someone fart or sneeze, who would it be? It was cutting.
And there was a long, lots of
Go on. And so my grandfather, on my mom's side, I discovered that he was bald by 17, and I was boned. So it was. You watch Seinfeld?
Oh yeah.
So it was the swimmer moment where I actually had like long crazy hair, and I shaved my head when it was my cousin got deployed. So I was just like, I'll shave my head. You shave your head, it'll be great. And then I shaved it, and I was like, oh, I like this. And someone was like, well, you should grow it back. Chick was like, you should grow it back out. I was like, all right, cool. And then I was just like, oh. I'm like, nope, this is a life choice. This is no,
you know what I thought about it, and I think it's. I think I really like this. I think I'm a big fan.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of this.
Yep.
So Bert, how long have you been GMing for Star Wars? You said it was more years than you'd care to mention, but this is Honesty Hour.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. I'm the big 3-0. Probably been doing it since. Like 15 years, maybe, off and on. Depending on, it comes down to, I've had a core group of, it was me and 2 other guys that have been doing it pretty much consistently. One of those people was my friend Alexander Choi, who unfortunately is no longer with us via blaster bolt to the back of the head. And it comes in waves. It's like with any sort of role-playing experience, you either find people who are really committed and you do it for a long period of time, or you spend a lot of time starting it, and after 4 sessions it's gone. So it's been fluctuates. I'm really excited. My buddy Evan is going to be running a campaign. I normally GM and I don't participate, so I'm excited to be a player in one for once. So, well, I have done it before with my Keldorians, but to really get into one recently. So, 15 years, I would say. I think it's been like 15 years. It's a long time. It's a long time to make stories and throw dice at each other.
Yeah, this is all really new for me.
Yeah.
I've been a storyteller my whole life, but I never had access to RPGs and stuff like that. So this is very new, all of this. I'm super excited by it.
Not have access in the sense that it was like not allowed.
I didn't have friends.
Well, that would okay.
Yeah. No, there was nothing out there. It was out in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere. We didn't have access to. I didn't even know RPGs were a thing.
Yeah.
No idea. No concept of it. Not even when I went to college. I didn't meet a single person that was doing it in college.
We're gonna go play. You're like, why are you playing around with rocket propelled grenades? That sounds terrible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, video game RPGs.
Yeah.
I knew video game RPGs when I got to college, but that was. I didn't even know like tabletop RPGs was a thing people were doing.
Yeah.
So, you know, in fact, it was like something I'd only read about in the comic books I was reading. That was pretty much it.
So you thought it was like a completely fictitious thing?
Or just like, you know, a thing that they do in the media.
Yeah.
Growing up out in the middle of nowhere, there's so many things you saw on TV that were completely abstract and they weren't real to you.
Yeah.
You're just like, nah, that's just shit they do on TV and then books and shit. It's not real life.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually exist. People don't do those things.
I snuck mine around because I came from a very it was not like Dungeons and Dragons wouldn't be allowed in my house, but I was like, no, it's Star Wars. And okay, he's just gonna go read. They're pretending to be Star Wars, whatever that means.
Wait, was it like a religious thing?
Yeah.
So D&D.
It would be like it's like so like.
Hold on a sec. So you all would play Risk.
Yeah.
Destroying entire nations
Yeah.
and holding each other's viewing rights hostage.
Yes.
In a very antagonistic and hostile way.
Yeah.
But you can't do no D&D because that's just got the devil in it.
It just was like, it was a misunderstanding of... I mean, I basically did D&D.
Yo, but fuck respecting your sister's wishes. She's got to win this fucking board game before we'll let her do what she wants.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, it was, at that point, it's communal destruction that we're all trying to do.
Okay.
It's like magic. It's like, you hear the magic name for cards, and it's just like, and it's like, well, you draw pentagrams and stuff, right? It's like, no, you have a D20, and it tracks your health. What are you talking about? But I basically did that, but it was with Star Wars because they were like, "Oh, you're just playing Star Wars, okay."
Bert, who among the cast knows the most about Star Wars? That's a tough fucking question.
That's a
They're
really
uber
I don't
fucking
think I can
nerds.
Answer that.
Holy shit, that is the largest group of uber nerds.
Yeah, and specifically of Star Wars. Like that's the thing. You have
they're Star Wars fanatics.
Emma, who's on all of these. She's very. Maybe even more so than me. She's very in the canonized now Star Wars with the Rebel show that she does and all that different stuff. So she knows so much. You have Hector who knows a ton of. He knows everything. Of every geeky thing.
A lot of comic books and stuff. I would not say it's Hector in that group though.
But it's not. That's my point. Is it's not actually.
You think Hector maybe, but I don't think it's Hector.
Yeah.
Darren's a fucking encyclopedia.
Darren is the one that blows me away, and he has all this knowledge of things that I didn't know existed. Like when we were talking after the show, it's like, oh cool, is this whole like cruise ship thing an homage to the such and such comic book series issue number da 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 where Lando's on the ship. I was like, no, I put it on a ship.
Yes.
I thought it would be a cool setting.
Yeah.
So I think, and then Kim is a straight up Jedi. She's an actual Jedi. So
she knows a lot about that.
Yeah.
That's the thing. She knows a lot about that.
Yeah.
She's researched that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Like, I don't think we've ever had a show where the people on it were all so knowledgeable about the thing they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't ask that of people because usually they find themselves becoming in love with it as they go.
Sure.
You know? And a lot of shows, that's not how they start. They don't start with, like, this kind of feeling of like, oh, I'm gonna dive in, or you know, like I know everything. I'm gonna play D&D because I know everything about fantasy worlds. Like that's not how it usually is.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'll try this, and then they end up loving it. This is like, oh no, they're all experts on Star Wars, and they're diving into it at that level. So that's exciting and very different for our shows. I tried doing that with our Valiant shows, and I can't find enough people that love them as much as I do. So I'm always going to be the person that's like, okay, this is what you need to be excited about. These are all the things. I know every little fucking nook and cranny. And everybody else is like, oh, okay, dude, cool. We'll get there.
Settle down, bro.
Yeah. Even when Amy was over here and I was talking to her about like how we got to come up with her character and stuff and what books she needs to read, she's the second most, but I still was like, she got that like glazed over. Okay.
She's like adding.
Okay. Book, and I was like, Solomon's a thing now, and like Solomon just showed up, and you know he was in a Princess of Harada, and like Harada is like he's off the deep end. He's got that he's got that Navy ship over there, you know, in Africa, and Solomon like, oh man, shit's getting crazy, and like activating all the psyops and everything, and she's like, oh, yeah, I haven't read much. I'm like, oh shit,
yeah,
fuck, I'm still gonna be that one nerd.
Yep.
Okay, damn. All right. So, we'll get there.
Yep.
We'll get there. Scott, question mark. Still, none of those guys, like, they had read some, but I had to get them into it. AJ had read some Shadow Man when he was younger, so then I pushed it on him. Scott had read some stuff, and then I pushed it on him. Tara had read a bunch of stuff with her dad when she was younger, so I pushed a bunch on them. Thing is, Valiant's great, and when I tell them, hey, we're doing a show, can you give me some books? They're like, here you go.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Here's everything. Share them. So it's good. It's good. Davlin says, do you want us to pay to hire them to run a job as with Rebel, Empire, or Hutt? I think he's asking about. I think he's asking about metagame aspects because, like on Shadowrun, you can be a corporation and you can hire.
Oh, okay.
Maybe let's get this system down first. Let's.
I'm gonna feel this to you. I'm gonna play. Who do we want them to work for?
I know what they're trying to say because we have a lot of shows where you can hire, like Shadowrun, you can hire the runners to do something. So I think they're implying like, hey, it'd be really cool if we could be like the chat room could be Rebels or the Empire or like Jabba the Hutt, and we hire the ship to go do something.
Oh, that's cool.
Like that's what they're suggesting.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Right. Let's get the system we got right now figured out first, and then we'll circle back around if we need to on that.
Yeah, I think we start with this galactic conquest kind of thing because I feel like that affects it, and so yeah, I see what you're saying. TBD.
I like this. Ozai says, how did Kim get to be a literal Jedi, or is that treading too close to the mouse's toes? We were told, we were actually told we can tell people she's a literal Jedi, but we're not allowed to dive into specifics.
Pretty much it. Yeah.
She actually said, like, you can tell people that, but that's as far as we can go. Yeah. And I'm like,
which only makes it more cool.
I know. I'm like, oh, goddamn Disney, man.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Don't want to ruffle those feathers. Somebody said something about, let's be real, Eve's throwing a rock at Harada was amazing. So there is that excitement level. Because there is the element of, we had a moment on our Vanquish show last season where I threw the Valiant Universe's most powerful, it would be Vader, basically.
Sure. Yeah.
Can you imagine in your play group if you threw Vader into a situation and someone threw a rock at Vader to antagonize him and didn't know who Vader was?
Wow. Well, yeah.
And how you like get to react to that.
Them to
like that was a funny and hilarious moment because it's like there is that kind of element of like there is some excitement there if the people you're playing with don't know every tiny detail about the universe.
Yep.
And everyone watching knows, and they're like, "Oh fuck, Toyo Rada, the most powerful villain in that universe." And one of my players is like, "I throw a rock at him."
Yeah.
I'm like,
what are you doing?
What the fuck?
It's funny is so I ran a campaign with Hector. It was the one right before this, where a buddy of mine had seen the Star Wars once, didn't know anything about it, but he really wanted to play a role playing game. He's like, "This is something I want to do." So he didn't know Star Wars, and we did a whole backstory where his character was like Jason Bourne, like didn't remember anything about it, woke up on a planet, which is like I don't know really anything about this universe. And it was so amazing to see him kind of learn.
It's kind of fun
about it.
Yeah.
As you're going through, we're like, oh, so these guys all like the stormtroopers are bad. Like, oh hey, those that don't go do that. And so throwing a rock at Vader, that is hilarious. That's absolutely,
it would be really and it is that kind of like no, it's the same as in Vader's. What I'm saying is like if you knew anything about Valiant comic books, you would know Harada. You would be like, oh, Toyo Harada, he's the most powerful villain. And the same if you know anything about Star Wars. There is an excitement to that as a GM and as an audience. If you have someone who genuinely, as a player, is like
unpredictable.
Like, no, I'm a character in this universe, I wouldn't know who that is. Because sometimes the meta kills it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, honestly, if somebody like that showed up in your game, the players are going to meta knowing who the fuck that is, and they're going to back the fuck off.
Yeah.
You know, and it is, and they can't help it. They can't help it because they want their character to survive.
Yeah.
So they can't help it. They meta it. But if you have a player who genuinely doesn't fucking know what they're doing, and they do unpredictable shit like that,
the oh shit moments are the best.
Yeah. I understand it's less exposed than Vader. Of course it is. I'm saying it's a good example of the two universes. If you don't know the master big bad, and that's when your players does that, it's fucking hilarious. But you're like, okay, how do I not kill you now?
Yeah.
Because I want to kill you.
Yeah. There's a lot of times as the GM, especially when people might be doing things that you don't want them to or whatnot. And this isn't directly related to the stuff we do, where you're just like, I really want to hurt you very badly, but I know that's again like in the kind of permadeathness of Star Wars, like that's disingenuous to the time that you've put into the character. But so then you find ways to hurt them narratively, and it makes it so much better.
Do it hurt them emotionally.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. You hurt them emotionally. Yeah.
You know, just put Darren in a situation where someone's talking trash on Alderaan and he's too far away to do anything about it.
Yep. Yeah. Oh,
Fucking them emotionally.
I got a very good. I think. I'm not gonna spoil it, but I think I found a good Darren kryptonite. That will be a moment where he will have to make a decision that I think is really good.
Nice. Aaron says, Bert, awesome job so far in Princess and Parsecs. Loving the show. What are you most looking forward to seeing from the show once everyone gets comfortable with the system and each other?
I'm looking forward to... First off, thank you. I appreciate that because as much as it seems stupid of me to say, that actually means a lot to me to know that people are enjoying it. Because I look at it kind of in the same kind of perfectionist eye as you, and like I look at like an episode and I go, I ruined that. And when to hear people still say, oh my god, no, like that moment was so cool, or like, oh I can't, like the story was so good, I'm like, really? Like I thought I wrote myself into a box kind of thing. So to hear that, it's encouraging. I'm constantly striving to make it better. I'm looking forward to seeing all 4 of the characters, the actors, interact with each other more and kind of come out of their shells and kind of become more. I think the shift, and this goes back to the conversation that you and I had last week, of it, and it's simple and it sounds stupid that we didn't think, or we talked about it, but again, you kind of lose everything kind of in the moment of starting. Shifting in my head, I'm like, this is a narrative. In my head, it was very Game of Thronesian in the sense where it's like, this is a real universe. We're doing all these things, these serious books, and I need to write these stories because again, you think of it from a narrative perspective, and wanting these kind of like grandiose reveals and all this different stuff, and it's still there, but it's like shifting it to be like, no. This needs to be more like of a movie experience, and like that's. I don't think that makes it work. It only makes it better, especially with the context and the time frame that we have. Because I was writing as if I was doing it like a home session where you can do all this stuff and do all these things. It's like no. This like the first episode of me had so many great moments of the team coming together and problem solving and looking at a situation that I didn't think they would look at it and coming through with it. And so seeing that kind of like interaction of them, and the more that they kind of come out of their shell, as we learn more of like the characters, as it were, I think that's going to be the most fun. Like the most fun is seeing them come together.
It's funny because you and I get excited about very different things. We've locked the Vanquish cast now, so now I know who I'm going to be playing with and who I'm going to be GMing, and it gets me excited about different things.
Yeah.
Like, how many different ways can I troll Iffy? Fundamentally, like figuring out new and creative ways to troll my players is my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
And like finding a way to work it into story at a base level as a troll, it's really exciting for me. Sometimes in a not so literal way, and sometimes in an extremely literal way. And the other is like having Amy on the show, which to me represents all that is pure and good in the world, and figuring out how to break her.
Yep.
Like those are 2 things that I'm like, ooh, these are goals of mine. Because if he's gonna bring it right back. If he's gonna bring it right back and he's gonna challenge me, I know that by having Iffy on a show, it's a ticking time bomb.
Yes.
Because he's gonna do everything in his fucking power to challenge me to break that world, and I'm gonna have to hold him in check.
Yeah.
But I want to find ways to throw it right back at him and put him in positions with his character where he's like, fuck.
Yeah.
So I want to figure that out. But then also breaking Amy. And it's, don't tell her I said that. But, thanks for coming on the show,
No,
Amy.
stop it. It's going to happen.
Let's get you really, really excited about your character, which I'm sure is going to be a great beacon of hope.
Yeah.
Who's the cast for Vanquished? Man, I keep forgetting that. Like, we have so many people that don't know yet. Amy Dallin is on the show. Iffy. Danny. Like, having Iffy and Danny together, the hosts of Krillin' It.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be awesome to have on the same couch. Daniel Radford. And Johnny Cruz, the voice of... my brain just blanked from Overwatch. Lucio. Duh. Damn. Lucio.
Okay.
So... We've got a team of 5 on that show. We're still working on characters and getting everything figured out with Valiant. We had a really good meeting with Valiant last week and getting everything ready for that. And the only reason you haven't heard an official start date on the show... oh, wow. When's this to air? Okay. Yeah. Oh, God.
Wow. That's one way to do it.
So I did say Daniel Radcliffe that time instead of Radford.
Harry Potter. It's actually Harry Potter.
I thought I said Daniel Radford.
No. You did. That's what I heard.
Okay, I did say Daniel Radford. Stop fucking with me, chat room! Stop fucking to me. God damn it. I can't.
It's too late. It's gone. So tell me more about Daniel Radcliffe being on the show. That sounds amazing. How'd you get him?
I'm going to figure out how to get him on the channel someday so I can just come out whenever the show starts and be like,
told you.
And then he'll be like, why do I agree to do this?
Yeah.
Like, so, the only reason we haven't announced a start date on it yet is we're working with Valiant to make sure everything is in order, so it all hits at once. We want the show to hit with a bang. Valiant is fully on board with season 2. They are talking to us about doing art for the characters, about doing like a 2-page spread for editorial in their comic books, and doing an advertisement in their comic books for the show, and they want everything to hit at once, so it's a good culmination. So we're just getting everything in order to get that done. So it's worth it though. Like that'll be worth it to get that. Like to have Valiant doing character art for us, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like that's a dream come true. And having like they want to interview all of us and do like a 2-page spread in the comics. Like it's all very surreal, and we're really excited. Really excited. So we got to wait for all that to kind of come together so we can hit the ground running with maximum exposure ready to go. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, it's definitely worth waiting for. So I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I'm trying to be patient. And I have a lot to figure out. We've been so busy here, I haven't had time to dive into a new story yet. And as you guys saw with last year, I built a really long story too that had like a beginning and a middle and an end. And like time travel and a resolution to the time travel and all this other stuff, and with many opportunities for them to take me way off course. So I want to write another story ahead of time and make sure that I'm not repeating certain tropes, because I threw a lot out in that, but I don't know what their characters are going to be yet, and I don't know what their tone's going to be yet, and that's the big thing. So we'll see. Stars Without Number has a cool system for managing and moving background factions. Might be worth checking out. Have you heard about this?
No.
What's Stars Without Number?
Take a look at it though. If it's something that we could use for the like the conflict point, the Galactic Civil War kind of conflict thing, that could be like cool.
Zach, any chance to have Jason David Frank cameo as Bloodshot on the new Vanquish season? Yes, that's very possible. Given that part of the reason we only have 5 players on the show is so that there can be a guest almost weekly of different Valiant Universe characters as they play in their shows, and writers and creators and stuff. Maybe not starting out. I feel like I want to start letting them get to know the characters first, and then building into the guests. But I think it's very possible you're going to see a lot of people guesting on that show that are a part of Valiant's cinematic universe, which is really cool to say. Valiant cinematic universe. I'm a super fan, so I'm like, oh, Valiant cinematic universe. Ah! Okay. It's an RPG made by Adam. Gotcha. Bert, I assume it will be hard to keep a serious political landscape and dark and devastating galactic war up against a group of rather comedic but very entertaining players. Wish you the best of luck and success.
Thank you.
Yeah,
but at the same point, I think you see it. Like we saw it the first time last time. It got very dark. I was very blown away of it was done in a very comedic fashion afterwards and discussed. But dude, straight up murdered a guy. Like that's very. I'm like, oh, you're seeing the cracks. You're seeing the cracks that already performed. But I also think that Star Wars is great because of exactly what you said. There is a very great kind of narrative sandbox when it comes to this. You know, there's a galactic war going on, but there's so much that's involved with like the politics and like criminal organizations and all these things that are very serious things that kind of it can get very real very quick. But yes, I appreciate the luck or the wishing of luck because I'm gonna need it if certain things happen. So
I just gotta wait for the cinnamon rolls.
I know. I'm very excited. I'm very excited.
You guys can't smell.
Yeah.
So I can. It was just like this little cloud dancing here. And I was like, doop. And I was like, oh, well, it's midnight. It's time for cinnamon rolls. Blue Banded Bee says, Bert, would it be possible to have more chaos, perhaps a third donation category, which is random removal of a light or dark instead of adding dice? 4 minutes. I don't know, like, I've been debating adding the Chaos Dice system to your system. We do that for a lot of our RPGs. And the only reason I haven't thrown you on that yet is I want to give you time to figure out the system.
Yeah, I would say, let's learn how to walk and then we'll start running. That makes sense? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm completely okay with you guys getting your feet on the ground.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night, Trogath, the Gauntlets at 6 p.m., by the way. We've got a couple people from Robot Teammate in the Accidental Party, and I believe Whitney Moore. I think we might be waiting for official confirmation on that. Maybe. I know she said yes yesterday, but we gotta wait to hear again to make sure. And I can't remember who else Lucas said. I know we booked people today. But the Chaos Dice system that we use is really fun. Did we tell you about this?
You may have mentioned it.
So it's a fun mechanic. It's like every 5 subscribers.
That's right, you did say this.
Yeah, like every 5 subscribers, we do a Chaos die. And you would basically roll a d12. And like a 1 through... that is so loud and I don't see it lighten up, baby. Oh no.
It works when I touch the wires.
Gotcha. Malika's working on our EL wire rabbit that she made on the wall. Okay. It's basically like when we roll a d12 and like a 1 through a 5, something bad happens. 5 through a 7, something weird happens. 7 through 12, something good happens.
Sure.
And then if you have 4 people on the show, you know, you'll roll a d6. And it'll be like a 1 through a 4 is an individual on the couch. A 5 could be you, and a 6 could be everyone.
Sure.
So something bad could happen to the whole team. Something bad could happen to you as the GM that helps them, or something bad could happen to them, or something weird or something good. It's just a random element of chaos that makes an RPG more interesting by the chat room interacting.
Totally.
That being said, I think we should wait.
Yeah.
I think we should wait.
I think,
there's a lot of things in play right now.
It's based on you said every 5 subscribers, so it's not like it's something where it's just chaos. Well, I guess in theory, it could be. Yeah.
It could be. If the show was doing what I want it to do, then yeah. We need subscribers. We got up to 850 last week, and then it's been just waking up every morning to less and less, and it's like, wow, what are we doing wrong?
Yeah, there was a reason Alex and I stayed up till like 3 o'clock in the morning streaming.
Anyway, CS Spider MX, do you have a plan if when chat manages to land exactly in the middle of the force counter? I think if it's a neutral event, nothing happens.
Yeah, we talked about a neutral event and what it means, and I don't know. I'd be surprised if it gets to that point. Just because it's seen the kind of the
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could chat sometimes, like if they're worried about one way or the other of one of those galactic events that's going on.
If you keep it in neutral, nothing. Yeah, I guess technically
they might try really hard to keep it locked.
I think if anything, we'll
you could roll a die.
Session. I think
you could just roll a fucking die.
You do a little bit of that chaos maybe in neutral, right? Maybe.
If it's neutral, you roll a die, see what thing happens in what zone.
Yeah.
Could be like GM rolls a die.
Interesting. That's let me think about that. That's an interesting point.
Okay. I thought part of the reason donations slowed down after the first hour like weeks because the first hour ended with a mad dash of donations to tip the scale. So second hour seemed like you should wait till timer was almost up to know how and how much to donate to flip it. Any concerns with that or ideas on how to keep the donations flowing evenly throughout the whole show? Feilong, yes. I know Alienator and Pillowsack were talking about introducing a system that works on a scale that keeps things moving. So, oh, look at that. Fumik CZ. Fumik CZ is a Thumper training. Thank you. Thank you for that. A sliding scale that helps keep things moving, so it doesn't get flipped way off to one side.
Like a gradual.
Yeah. I mean, it's great at the beginning of the show.
It also resets. Once it hits the hour.
And it starts over.
Starts over, yeah.
So I think it's a good plan to start working as a team. If you want to be dark, you start working as a team. And I'm always going to say, if you want to be dark, you start working as a team towards moving in that direction early on, because then it's harder for the other team to get back.
Yeah.
And it could be through bits, and it can be through tips. Like, it can be through either. That's pretty cool that the system now supports that. It's pretty great. Zach, can we get the screen of the galaxy behind the DM to change along with the set? I think it would add to the fun. We're not there yet, Nick Fit. We're not there yet. We have a piece of equipment that was told we would have that we haven't gotten yet. And I think that when we get that piece of equipment, it will help us with that. We have another piece of equipment that allows us to do what we do with our scenes on our show that's outputting to the internet. We could do that on the TV. So we could start switching between scenes with fades and everything. Cool. We could do some video mixing. But we don't have it yet. So no right now. And we'd have to have another person working here.
That would also,
yeah, to do that. But so right now, no. It's going to be the Galaxy for now. Bert, would you consider posting your notes online after each episode? Then we could see what you had planned. No, don't do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I get the if you finish it, it's like so that we can, feedback's always good and stuff, tell you what didn't work. I mean, I'm always down for somebody to tell me what didn't work, right, or what did work. I don't want to post notes mainly because exactly kind of what we're talking about. If something doesn't go a certain way, I can always bring it back in. I also don't want the players or really anybody, it's mainly the players, but it gets back, to know what my thought process is, because if they learn that, then it's downhill from there. I like to, part of being the GM is you hold all the cards. Mm-hmm. But I get the idea of feedback here. So.
Cool. Bert, what was the dumbest decision you ever made
in life? Long story short, very long story short, I got really drunk at a company party, and I went to sleep underneath my desk. I woke up because I needed to pee because I was really drunk. I walked out of our office and to use the restroom, but needed a key to get back in. And I didn't grab a key because I was drunk and it was early in the morning. So then I walked outside of our office, and of course it was torrential downpour. And that I mentioned I didn't put my shoes on. So now I'm outside of my office, it's torrential downpour, I have no shoes on, and all I have on me is just like a blanket. It's a small little blanket. So at this point, I'm like, it's okay, it's fine. I think I left my car unlocked. I'm gonna run out to my car. So I run out to my car, and at this point, it's like it's a commitment because I'm in my socks, right? So I'm like getting my socks wet. I try all my doors, all locked. Because again, you're in a drunken stupor, you're not really thinking. Come back to the door, and I go, I got it. I'll just start calling. I start calling Scott, who was working at a different company. I start calling Scott, who's inside, who was also, crashing at the office. And I had my phone, and I start calling, and call, goes to voicemail, hang up. Call, and I'm just sitting there in a fetal position outside of my office door watching the battery drain. And so I go, all right, it's okay. This is in Northern California. My boss has a boat, and he charges the boat from his office. So he always leaves it unlocked. I'm gonna run to the door. I run to his door, and of course, for the first time in forever that I've been there, locked. I'm like, it's okay. I'm gonna rally this around. I'm gonna go sleep on the boat that's down on the dock because he always leaves it unlocked. So I walk down the gangplank, get into the boat, and it's still raining. I have a blanket that doesn't fully cover me, so I choose to cover my head, not my feet, and I go to sleep. So at that point, I'm exhausted. Scott, of course, cut to him. He wakes up in the morning, and he's just like, why are Bert's shoes here, and where did he go? Also, why do I have 47 missed calls from Bert? And he starts like frantically walking around, and he goes, the boat. He puts it together. So he walks down. I'm like freezing. I'm like core body temperatures like down. I'm like, like, oh my God. And he's like, dude, I was freaked out because you called me 47 times and never left a fucking message. So I'm like freaked out. Message? He's like, you left one message and it was 2 minutes. It was 2 minutes of you just freezing and huddling. I thought you had been kidnapped. And so I finally put it together, and at that point I get back inside. I'm like trying to like take off my clothes, get like my core body temperature up, and of course in the process I put my hands in my pocket, and I had the keys the entire time. Long way around, stupidest thing I ever did. I didn't check my pockets. So that happened. Yep. You're welcome. Yep.
Oh, it's good. That's good. That's a cinnamon roll.
Oh my god.
I didn't really have small plates, so I put them on sushi boards.
No, it's perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah. Stupidest thing. I mean, there's other stupid things, but I think that was literally flirting with death. And I could have said myself, though. He saw it. He laughed. Couldn't hide it.
I mean, hypothetically, if we were, you know, if I was making this into a movie or something like that,
Yeah.
it's like a crime scene kind of story.
Yes.
Imagine it's like a Law and Order scenario. They walk up, they find the body.
Yep.
Like there's this cold and shivered up body here outside. His blood alcohol levels were extremely high.
Extremely high.
What do you think happened to this man? There's an outgoing text message here that says, I need help. I'm locked out. Sir, the keys are in his pockets.
Money.
Bert, that's among the dumbest things I've ever heard. But at least you didn't got to art school.
It is very. What's funny is that is the second craziest story that's happened at the river that we were there, and it actually the other one involves someone falling into it. But I need that person's permission before I tell that story.
You don't have to say their name.
I guess I could. It's another long story. It's a setup.
That's the art of story. That's the art of storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
White Wabbit, I wanted to make a joke about not understanding what you said because of the misspelling, but we all know that I have no right to do so. So, why don't you just go ahead and set up this other story?
Okay. So the other story. Oh God, I can't believe. The other story. Same town. It's. You can look this up. It's the Petaluma, right? So it's like Petaluma is like a wine country. It's like a cattle town. So imagine a river that runs through the town, but it's like it's primarily cow food. That's the river, right? It's just that is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, buddy of mine was out. We had a company party, drinking, and he also was a little bit intoxicated. And he's the kind of guy where, I don't know if you know this, where it's like there's people who like when they're drinking, like people act a certain way. You hit a certain point where you're like, I'm drunk, right? And some people just go pass out, other people throw up or whatever. He's the kind of person who's just like, I need to get away from this situation, and so he just leaves. So all of his friends think that he's left, right? Mm-hmm. It's like all of his like fraternity bros, and so he leaves and he's going to the same river, right? And he's standing at the riverbank. Deciding to, you know, take a piss, and it's very loose soil, so he starts to fall into the river, the whole thing as he's peeing. So he falls into the river. He's like at his feet, and he's just like, "Are you kidding me? It smells like cow poo. It's whatever." But as he starts to climb up, because it's like, what is it, Vesuvius soil, right?
Wait, this isn't like a river. This is like an aqueduct, like
no, this is a river.
Oh, so
this is a river.
Why does it smell like cow shit?
Because it's around the area, so like cow poo just gets into the river.
Who the fuck let a cow farm next to that river?
It's a cattle town. It's the water isn't. It's like it goes out to the bay, but it's not like it's a flowing river in the sense where we're at like you're at this part, which is the town and the dock, and then it starts to go out into the bay. It's gross water. It's gross water. If you're hung up on the cow poo, it's just gross water.
I'm upset as a person that grew up around water. Who does that shit?
So he's in it at his feet, and the more and more he tries to like climb his way up, the more and more he sinks down, and like the water starts coming up, and like as it's coming up, he starts to assess what he's losing. He's like, okay, cool. There goes my wallet. There's my phone. Like da 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 da. And it gets to the point where he's like up to like his like neck almost, and he's like, this is how I'm going to die. And they're gonna find me, and no one's gonna know what happened, and this is ridiculous, right? So finally, he just summons this internal strength and like climbs his way out of the river, and like but he ends up on the other side of the bank. And at this point, there's like a fence there. They have like a fence to keep people from being in the area that he's in. And he looks up and it says, got barbed wire. So of course, when you're drunk, you make terrible decisions as I'm telling the story. So he goes, well, all my clothes are wet. Also, I'm missing a shoe. So I'm gonna take off my clothes and throw them over the fence because that's gonna weigh me down, and then I'll climb over the fence. So
wait, not like put the clothes on top of the barbed wire.
Like I said,
throw them over the
throw
fence.
them over the fence,
and then have a body that's now a naked body climbing through barbed wire.
Through the barbed wire.
What the fuck?
So he throws it over, and then realizes quickly that this is a terrible plan. He goes, "I got it. I'm just gonna dig underneath the fence, right?" So he starts digging underneath the fence. And for some reason, somebody in the city was like, we don't want anyone to fucking be in this area. So they put barbed wire, they buried barbed wire underneath the fence. So at this point, he's just like, fuck it, pulls it up and just tears up his back, gets out on the other side, and like in that state just kind of collapses. And he's just like, I can't be here because if a cop rolls by, it's just, why do you have no clothes on, covered in mud and bloody? Like there's just, it's not gonna be, it's not.
So I guess I need to cross the river again.
No. So he's. So it's like if the river's up here, right? He's like a little alcove. He came up and he's on this side. So he's now back on the street, but he's trying to summon the strength to like move. So he starts running and kind of walking back, and he just hears, "Hey, you!" And like he's like, "Shit." It's like cops or somebody. So he just starts sprinting it. And as he,
which is always the worst thing to do.
He like kind of like looks and like it's dark. And just right into a truck. Just runs into like a parked truck, gets down, gets back up, and goes, right? And at this point, all the friends who are at the bar, like, are coming into the house. So again, they just saw, like, last they saw him, he, like, stopped and just disappeared. Next time, cut to them seeing him, he's coming around the corner, naked, covered in mud and blood, missing a shoe. Like, what the hell happened? He's like, I don't want to talk about it, right? Next morning, he wakes up and he's going, and he's like, I gotta try and get my life together. So he's like trying to find like his pants and his shoe and all this stuff. And he's like down there looking, and he's just, hey, you! And he looks up and he sees this guy like with a brooch, like his arm in a cast. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning, drinking like PBR, right? And he's just like, hey, you were that guy down in the river last night, right? And he's like, what? And he's just like, yeah, man. I mean, I was like on my porch and I saw you, and I was just like, what is this guy doing?
I better sit and wait and watch him.
I should go down there and help him, but I have a broken arm, and I'm like, this guy's clearly crazy because he's in the river. So like, I just saw you, and like you made it out, and I was like, hey man, are you okay? And you just like sprinted and like ran into my girlfriend's truck. And then like sprang up like a deer and like, kept running. And he's just like, yeah, man, that was, I guess that was me. He's like, damn, man, that was some funny shit. Here, you need one of these. And he like tosses him a beer and he's just like, thanks. And then so that happened before my story. So I was like, dude, we kept joking like, dude, you almost died in the river. This is crazy. And then when I was in my situation, as I'm walking down the gangplank, I'm like, this is it. I'm going to die in the river.
Great storytelling.
Thank you. So those are some really stupid. Bringing it back full circle. What is the stupidest thing you've done? Drink. Don't drink. It's terrible. It's horrible.
I don't, because I've seen too many people do exactly shit like that.
Still, I can't. Yep. So those are my drunken Petaluma River stories. So you're welcome. I think I've told. I've told people that story. So it's not like that was.
Should have Alex come out here sometime and tell some of his drunk stories. Cause him and another. Alex doesn't drink anymore. It's probably a good thing. Well, he does some, but not as much as he did in college. And him and his roommate in college liked to climb water towers when they were drunk. That never ended badly for them.
Yep. I actually have not been drinking in the new year for the most part. It's good. I think it's good. I can feel different, but at the same point, there's always that time where I'm like, okay, I'm in a safe space now. I'm not going to be going by any sort of bodies of water. I'm fine. And I make sure that everything is confined to at the point where now I'm like, I'm not going out and I'm not. And I break that rule.
Sir Bubble says, Zach, I've been trying to figure out how to grow the community, and I keep circling to things like stronger Twitter outreach, moving some stuff to Reddit, I've been pushing that one real hard, and simply having more users on Reddit. Is there anything else that we can do as a community, especially those of us who have tapped out our own communities and friends? Just keep watching and keep sharing and keep talking about it. I mean, Reddit and forums are great, especially if it's something as specific as like Valiant comic books. Are you on any Facebook groups that are fans of comics or, you know, forums? Share it there. Star Wars, lots of forums and you know, if you're a part of that, share it if you're a part of that world, and if not, just enjoy the content, man. You know, if you help, great. If not, it's free to watch content for you. It's our job to figure it out, and we have to figure it out somehow. Hey, impartial. Impartial. Thank you.
I'm impartial.
I'm impartial. Thank you for that, Bert. I need that translation.
It's the only time I can say that I think I figured one out.
I am really bad at this. I say everyone's name wrong on the internet. It's great. It's great. Iced wants to know, Icehold, thoughts or feedback on new idea. Hyperfoods cookbook with some Malika's best recipes, but also with community submitted recipes as well. Could be available for free digitally, but maybe a short run published for like $25 with profits going to a hyper charity.
People don't make money on the book.
Well, that's what he's saying, to do a charity.
Digital, yeah.
Or
I
a
think
digital thing.
version would be good.
Yeah.
Those are cool. I've seen those before where it's like the communal potluck book. You get recipes and you're like, oh, whoa, I didn't know. I think digital would probably be the way to go.
Shit. So he says he or she says you got my name right, Zach, and no one gets it right. Now I don't want to say it again because I don't remember how I said it before, and I'll probably say it wrong.
Impartial?
No. Conan? Conan?
Oh, yeah, that one.
Conan? See, I don't know how I said it the first time. I blacked out.
You should have stuck with it.
I blacked out.
Yes, I got it right.
Yeah,
You're
I totally
right.
got that
Yes.
right. Thank you. I'll never say your name again, ever. Most of the time when I find out I'm saying it wrong, I'll continue saying it the wrong way, though, just to let them know.
Consistency.
I think got touchy about my family call pronouncing my name different than you've ever heard it before.
I didn't get touchy.
Yeah, you were like, what's your family saying?
I was just confused. Because I've heard your name pronounced many different ways.
I accept all.
It's weirder, when your family does it, I understand it. It's weird sometimes when I hear a friend of yours, Malika, and I'm like, what?
I just don't correct people. I've like lived my life not correcting people.
Alright, let's get through these. It's getting late. Who is your favorite thumper and why is it Ninja?
Yep.
Hint, the answer is Malika. Learn from Zach's mistake.
Yeah, Ninja is second favorite then? We're talking about my Ninja? I'm assuming? Yeah.
Alec is saying, instead of having events happen every hour, what do you think about 45 minutes to make the event not land at the end of every show? Well, the thing is, the show's not supposed to end right after the second one. The idea is that you never know after the second one when it's going to end. So there's extra pressure to get it where you want it to go, to get it for the next episode. It could end 5 minutes after 2 hours. It could end 30 minutes after 2 hours. But you don't know. So it puts extra pressure on that last one. When can we start to see the character motivations and backstory have an effect on the storyline?
Yes.
When?
Yes.
Probably very soon. I mean, it's in our, who knows? It might already be and you don't know it yet.
I know, they did. Seriously, it's like it kind of comes to, I've talked to some of the players and their kind of backstory that they're talking to me that the rest of the other players don't even know, so that we can weave those moments in. Those are the best for me, and it's like, I don't know how much people did this with you, but it's like, when they come, you're like, this is my backstory, and I'm really into it, and like, this is a secret that only you and I know. At that point, it's it's more tools as the narrator to kind of work with, which is great.
Yes and no. I kind of did a thing where I was like, all right, here's the backstory you have for this date to now.
That's right, you told me this.
I gave them all a mind wipe so I could have control over their backstory and troll them with it.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. I like to fuck with them.
Yes. I'm slowly turning more and more to the dark side, which is
No? Really?
Yes, because it's glowing in my hand. See how this is
So it's literally so little light that we can't see it.
See it? It's blinking right now. See it's blinking?
No.
Oh. Barely, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my eyes would probably think that I was playing a trick on my... Shit. Yeah. Yeah.
Turn off the lights and stuff.
Well, we're never gonna have the lights off in here when we're filming. If I can't see it now, it doesn't work.
Whatever, my job's done.
It's your idea!
I can only do so much with a extremely small budget.
Tell me that before we spend the money on the thing that we spend money on. Okay. Bert, Timothy Zahn, or Kevin J. Anderson? Who do you prefer, and could there be any inspiration taken from those to add to the game, or would that fall under spoilers?
That is a great question. I'll say that Timothy Zahn, it's tough, because I feel it's Timothy Zahn to me. I remember reading the Zahn trilogy when I was very young, and I uncontrollably was very giddy last night when I found out that there's a new Timothy Zahn book
what's up, Jack
coming
Laffer?
out this year that also follows Thrawn. I don't want to. There's no spoilers. I don't want to give you spoilers. So, of those two, Timothy Zahn, inspiration, yes. Beyond that, I don't want to.
Gotcha. Was it by design that no one in the party is a Jedi, or did it just end up working out that way?
It just ended up working that way, which is crazy because I think both you and I thought that Kim was going to be a Jedi because that's what she does, and then she chose a character that's much
way different,
complete opposite of that.
Yeah, which maybe is exciting for
Yeah, I think so.
Have you guys reached out to any LA streamers like you did for Seattle ones yet? If not, are there any plans to? I would love to. And you know what? Jack Lifer, you're in the chat room. Are there any LA streamers we should reach out to work with? Because I got really deep into knowing who was in Seattle, and I don't know who's in LA. I know a lot of talent down here, but I don't know any Twitch streamers, and there's not a LA Twitch meetup like there was in Seattle, which is where we met a lot of people. So if you guys know, hit us up, and we'll start reaching out to people to be guests on shows. Big plans for ECCC this year? Ask No TS. Yes. Myself and maybe a couple of the Vanquished Season 2 actors, plus Valiant CEO and head of media are going to be on the Twitch main stage at Emerald City Comic Con for 30 minutes talking about Vanquished. And then we also have a Shadowrun hour-long panel. So it's going to be great.
That's it.
Yep. Oh, Strippin's in LA? Yeah, we've worked with Strippin. We could probably get him to come by. I didn't know he was in LA. Bert, do you plan to follow the events of the original trilogy, and some weeks will we see the second Death Star destroyed?
Yes and no. I think, honestly, it depends on what the chat does with the Galactic Civil War conquest points that we're talking about, because I've written some things into those, especially with the tier 3 ones that have very huge effects on the universe as a whole, which can alter timeline, as it were. So it depends kind of on really what you guys do. And then if there is a second Death Star, I will make sure I will use all of my red dice to make sure that that doesn't blow up, because the Empire, I literally have tattoos of Death Stars on my body. So.
Nice. Cool. So a couple people are saying some names of people I should reach out to. I didn't know Little Shia was. We're actually planning to do a Just Dance party when we hit 2,000 subscribers, because we're gonna fucking hit it. So when we do, we'll definitely do that. Nika Harper. I've worked with Nika before. I guess I consider Nika a YouTuber. All right. Bert, what will be more fun, breaking Amy or breaking Erica? Are you talking new Erica? Because she's on HeroClix. If it's the new Erica, I don't know. If you're talking about, because you're spelling it like Erica Lindbeck. Erica Ishii is with a K. And if it's Erica Ishii, I've not a problem. Like, I could just say something nice to her in a slightly genuine way and job done. Bert, are there themes you plan to introduce into the game, or will those spark organically?
Both. I think themes will naturally happen from the team. I have a very clear idea of what I want to tell this story and the kind of overarching theme for it, but that changes as you go through. So, yes and no. That makes sense. I have a theme. I really don't like... You said that you used a lot of tropes, right?
Well, I played with tropes.
I like to play with tropes.
I played with tropes. Something you think would happen in a superhero world and then turn it on its head a little bit. And some of it was just straight up trolling with tropes, like having an army in the faraway that's literally called the Trollisha that thought they had signed up for a video game. They thought they were in a virtual reality space that was actually a video game, but they were being lied to by General Redacted, and they were in the faraway as real people. So when they were actually dying and they thought it was a video game, they were just killing each other.
Wow, that's amazing.
And also I put 4chan in there.
Wow.
4chan is what saved the world.
Okay.
We uploaded 4chan into an alien robotic, basically plague to infect them with all of the things that are terrible and make them shut down.
That's awesome.
But we had to hire someone from 4chan, a hacker from 4chan to be there. But it was stupid. We did a lot of stupid stuff. We got to be stupid. You don't get to be as stupid as we were. Stupid, yeah. You don't get to be that stupid. You can't just be like, and so the Trollisha exists. You can't do that.
Challenge accepted.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Would it make it better to remove the timer from the light, dark, and randomize the length of the timer so nobody can guess when it closes? No, we need the timer so Bert knows time's up, pause, this is what's happening. It adds a sense of intensity to it, for sure. If you guys are putting a lot of names in here of people we should reach out to, put them in the improvements room in Discord, so Rai and Lucas can make a list and start putting that stuff together. So, it's 12:30. Yep. We should probably call it a night. Oh wait, it's honesty hour. So Bert, you're single.
Oh yes, yes I am. Thanks for bringing that one. I literally thought I was out the door, and you brought that back up. Your question, you were just gonna make the point, just make an observation.
Are you single?
Yes.
So ladies or dudes.
Or dudes.
I'm not gonna make assumptions. So Bert, I'm not gonna fuck with you any more than I already have. Thanks for coming out to Honesty Hour.
Thanks for having me. This was a blast. This was such a blast.
Guys, hit up Bert on Twitter, Ninjanomics101, and in Discord.
Yes.
Like in live discussion room, places like that. You know, keep the conversation going.
Yep.
These have all been great questions about the game. I'm excited to see the show on Friday.
I am very excited. I know there were some shortcomings with the last episode, and it came to pay off. That will not be the case for this one, and I apologize for that if anyone felt that way. I totally get it. At the same point, please continue to stick around with us if you enjoy it, and I think it's only just gonna, it's gonna get better.
Oh yeah, of course. We will not do something that doesn't get better. We have to. Fucking have to. All right, who we gonna raid? Who we gonna raid tonight?
Oh shit.
All right.
Money.
Bert, don't leave before he tells you about his dead finger.
You have a dead finger?
Yep.
What?
A lot of things happened in Seattle, my friend.
You have a dead finger?
Yeah. Top half of this finger is dead. A lot of things happened while you were gone. While I was gone.
What?
Hanging off of his body like that.
Oh my god.
Can you bend the top part? Can you do this?
I can bend it. I just can't feel it.
So you don't feel anything in that?
Nah, it's just kind of a dead finger. I'm getting pretty used to it now. I'm back to being able to like type things and write things. There was a while where I had to kind of retrain being able to do it without feeling it.
Are you left-handed?
Yeah. Unfortunate. I still, while playing video games, it was on stream, yeah. I still, while playing video games, when I go to do things with this finger, I hit the wrong button fucking constantly.
I'm not laughing.
I'm like, I know I'm using this finger. I know I'm touching stuff, but it's gonna land somewhere. Yeah, and it's also how Emily found out where the hospital was in Redmond. Yeah. Cool. You know, when you're look, it wouldn't be Hyper RPG if someone didn't go to the emergency room during the set build. It was me last year. It was Lucas this year. So we're great.
Yeah. Look, man, it's good luck or something. I heard that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the only good thing about this is because it severed the nerves, it was really just the loss of blood that made me feel uneasy.
Yeah, that's a good way to look.
Yeah. I was laughing the whole way to the doctor because it was like, I'm about to pass out. I lost too much blood.
I have time to tell one finger cutting story that's not on par with that, but so I was in. I have mine right here, right? I was in 8th grade and I had pens and I broke off the pocket protector, right, or the clip, and so a buddy of mine came by behind me and grabbed it and it went and it cut, and it was like that exact moment where you're like, oh, this doesn't hurt, and then just. And I had one of those teachers where if you raise your hand and you like kind of wave or whatever, she doesn't call him. She'll call on every other person. So I'm just sitting there kind of looking at my hand bleeding and I'm like, and she's like not calling on me. And finally I realized, I go, oh.
Raise the hand.
And I raised this hand and it's just blood dripping down. She's like, what are you doing? Go! And since I was in junior high and they separated junior high and high school lunch periods, so I like come out and just blood is dripping onto like the pavement, and this dude's like eating, just chomping down the sandwich, looks up and you see his eyes just go, and he just starts sprinting to the bathroom, right? Like, and I'm like, where does he think I'm going? Like I'm going, right? So the dude is in the bathroom, just, and I just don't say a word. I just go right to the sink next to him and just turn it and just goes everywhere, and they go, and like ran out, and I'm like, yeah. But it's right. It didn't hurt. It was just blood. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, sorry. Finger good. I didn't know. Now I know. I will never know that you have a dead finger, and that's constantly what I'll think about now when I see you, unfortunately.
So the last thought you had before you go.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh hey, my finger doesn't still. I mean, I get you. You get with anything like that, you get used to it, and after a little bit, you're like, oh yeah. That thing happened, and
that's so weird.
Literally, blood, sweat, and tears.
Literally,
to make this place fucking work.
And tears. That's amazing.
I one time had to I was staying at a buddy's house, and it was across the lake. So like where I lived was already 30 minutes from town, and we would take a boat across the lake to get to his house. But to get to town, he'd have to drive like almost 2 hours around the lake and then get into town on these backwoods roads and stuff. Or he could take the boat across the lake and then up. And his dad was doing woodworking in the shop. Actually, it was his stepdad, which made it extra awkward because he hated his stepdad. And we were like 17 or something like, no, actually I think we were 16. And we heard like him in the other room like yell. And we go into the shop in the garage. He's like, find my finger. I'm like, what? Find my finger. So we're like digging through the sawdust in this old like woods looking for the finger, and I found his finger. And I had to be like, hey Robert's dad, I found your finger.
I think this belongs to you.
Yeah, and he's like, take it upstairs and put it in a bag of ice. So I'm like, me? What?
Yeah.
I was a pretty timid kid when it came to elders when I was younger, so it's just like, yes, sir. And I run up to their kitchen that I've never really been in before, and I'm like, and then his wife comes in.
No!
She comes in and she's like, what are you looking for, honey? And I'm like, I need a bag of ice for your husband's finger, ma'am. And I put out. So I just put out my hand and showed her the finger. She just starts screaming. She lost her shit. And he came upstairs and he was like, I can't remember her name, but he said her name and like, he was like mad at me. He's like, did you show her the finger? And I was like, yeah, I thought she would know. He's like, why'd you show her the finger? I'm like, I don't know where the ice is. And I was like, what are you doing? And he like took the finger out of my hand and he's holding his hand like up against his shirt and he's just digging through the freezer and he like gets some ice and he pulls a bag out and he makes me hold the bag open while he puts it in there. And then he gets in the car and drives off.
That's insane.
And then she's like all screaming and she's like, where did he go? Where'd he go? And I was like, he drove away. You let him drive away? He's gonna go into shock. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like, Robert, I want to go home. Can you grab the boat? I want to go home. So I had Robert take me across the lake back home. I was like, all right, cool, man. I'll see you later. Bye.
Hope everything's okay.
Yeah, I hope your stepdad's okay. He's like, fuck him.
I just love that he pieced out while it let you. So
yeah.
You deal with it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had my driver's license and so did Robert. Both of us could have. By the way, his name, my friend Robert Reginald Roberts III.
No way.
I love the South.
Wow. That is amazing. That is amazing.
And they were from Louisiana. They'd moved up to Arkansas from Louisiana, but the Robert Reginald Roberts III.
That is brilliant.
One of these days, I'll share with you stories about Robert's brother, David. David has been arrested over 20 times.
Oh.
All for alcohol-related instances.
That will do it.
And he has a boat.
That will also do it.
I'll share I'll share those stories sometimes. So David Roberts. That guy is a fucking... When I start thinking about stories of that guy, I'm like, oh, wow, I could write a book about that dude. It's on another level. So, that's it for Honesty Hour.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And cut off fingers. Yeah, I remember that story, yeah. I've seen so many people just get in situations where they like do stuff and I'll never forget the time that like I was cutting. It's always like those wood, because everybody back home, they don't have new wood saws. It's like shit that's been handed down since the 50s. They don't have proper like guardrails on them and shit.
Yeah.
I remember one time we were cutting wood for our deck that we made and it was probably like 9 p.m. at night and Dad's got me like holding the boards and we're going through, just sawing them through and everything, and a piece of like wood shrapnel as he's sawing just like flies off and sticks in his arm. He looks down, he looks back up, he takes a drink of his beer, he sets his beer down, and he pulls it out, and there's just a fucking hole in his forearm where it had gone into the muscle, and then he takes a part of his shirt and rips it and ties it up around it,
and just goes straight back,
and then just keeps working. And there's reasons why I was terrified of my father when I was a kid, and that was one of them. I was just like, okay, Dad, let's get back to work. I'll just keep working, Dad. and then now I think about it, I'm like, I can't wait to have kids someday. And I like think back now to like the person I am now.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, like, he probably did all that just to fuck with me.
Yeah.
Because I would do that.
Yeah.
If I had a kid and I was cutting wood with them and shit like something like that would happen to me, I'd be like, oh, I want to scream, but I'm gonna hold it together, like take it out. Well, cut the wood. No, I wouldn't do that.
Now you have the perfect appendage to just be like, oh wait, it's Wednesday, you just cut in your hand.
Yeah, on the inside he was probably freaking out, but he's like, oh, I gotta fuck with this kid. I can't show him that I have pain. Yeah. Can't show him at all. Yeah. All I have to do is start bringing a couple up, and then I'll remind myself of more and more and more, and you know. All rocks too. Thank you for that follow. All right, I know I pulled up somebody we were gonna raid. You know. Looking through here. Actually, you know what? Let's throw a raid to Alaskan Savage. He's playing Resident Evil Code Veronica X right now. This is hilarious. Instead of playing the new Resident Evil, he's playing Resident Evil Code Veronica X. So, if Zach talks enough about it, their accent creeps in. It's great. Yeah, it does. I start reverting back. Yeah. It happens. All right, guys, we're gonna raid Alaskan Savage. Get that raid command ready in the chat room. So here's how it's gonna go for anyone that doesn't know. We're gonna tell you to go raid, and then I'm gonna host them. But you're gonna go over with everyone else. We're gonna have some mods leading the charge. You're gonna do Hyper Power Rabbit raid. You're gonna copy and paste that command. You're gonna go over to Alaskan Savage channel, and you guys are all gonna raid that. Now, do it for a little bit, but then you fucking stop and you be polite. and you make some new friends, and you represent our community well. Alaskan Savage is a great dude. Hopefully you'll see him working with us up in Seattle sometime. So say hi and enjoy his show. So let's get ready. I'm gonna get the I gotta get the command ready here. So let me go. All right, guys, are you ready? Are you ready? And 3, 2, 1, go! Right, go! Everybody go over there! Everybody go over there and have fun. Do your thing. Just go and do the thing and have the fun and all the things and the stuff. And bye. Thank you, Bert, for coming by tonight.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thanks, dude.
Looking forward to Friday.
All right, guys. I need to pee.